I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you are behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
All right, y'all, we're here, we're live. You're watching Buster Unmasked, and you know what day it is. It is time. I've been waiting on this one. It's time for the great debate. Old school versus new school pro wrestling. We're going to talk about it today, man. I got some great guests here today. I think both of these guys are perfect representations of old school and new school. You know the routine. Like this video, share this video. Go to Buster H.R. Johnson on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. Got a lot of great content coming out that you don't want to miss. I want to promote my upcoming podcast, and then we're going to get this thing underway.
I need a first class ticket to the top, no limit. I don't play no gimmicks, I'ma take you to the clinic. If you want a taste, come at me and you will be replaced. They won't find a trace of you anywhere or any place. Oh, you won't die if you try. You just might get a little bit of trouble, and I have me right in your side. You will never see me coming. You won't die if you try. You just might get a little bit of trouble, and I have me right in your side. You will never see me coming.
All right, guys, you've seen it right there. Got a bunch of great podcasts coming up, but then we're not going to worry about that today. Right now, it's all about old school philosophy versus new school philosophy, professional wrestling. Can the old guys and the new guys find common ground? Let me preface this debate. This is not about heat. This is not about getting on here and arguing back and forth. I'm not going to say there won't be some heated discussions, but this is not about heat. This is not a spectacle. This is about opening up a line of communication between the veterans and the new guys coming in the wrestling business. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch formats, get us lined out, and we are going to get these guys on here and get underway. All right, guys, without any further ado, he is the owner and founder of Bluff City Wrestling. He's a veteran of 30 years in the wrestling business, held multiple championships, and he is the King Superstar, the one and only Johnny Dotson.
What's going on, Buster? You got the King Superstar on, and I've been looking forward to this debate all day long. It couldn't be written any better. Ice on the ground, snow on the ground, and the King Superstar is on the air.
Oh, I'm ready, dude. I've been waiting on this. I think this is going to be real interesting here tonight. And hey, we don't have time to kill. The fact of the matter is, we're going to be on 3-minute time limits. So we got a lot. We got 15 topics that each one of you guys have to speak on. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get our representative of New School up here. Let me tell you something about Jason Genesis. If I'm correct, he's been in the wrestling business about 5 or 6 years. He's held multiple championships around our area, most notably the EPW Heavyweight Championship and the Premier Pro Heavyweight Championship. He has trained several guys that are out on the circuit right now actually working. Without any further ado, it's time to revel in his greatness. I bring to you the one and only Jason Genesis. Jason.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this. Congratulations on all the production improvements I've been seeing. That was really nice. I enjoyed all the intros you did. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this for quite a while.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have both of you guys here, man. Like I said, I think you guys are perfect representations of what we're trying to do here, man. And like I said, it's about opening up a line of communications. I commend both of you guys for having the guts to come on here and do this. A lot of guys probably wouldn't have done this. But both of you guys, when I asked you, both of you guys said, yes, hell yes, let's do this. I'm looking forward to it. And guys, I am too. This is something I've been waiting on, for 2 months since we booked it. Johnny got the pen and the paper, Jason. But a little side before we went live, Johnny said, I gotta go get me a pen and a paper so Jason can teach me something. So, guys, here's the deal. Before we even get started, Mark McGee is with us. He says, good evening, brothers. Mark, I'm glad you're with us, dude. I appreciate all your support. Jet Hero's with us. There he is. He said, I'm going to be on their ass. So y'all know that with Jet Hero. He's going to be on y'all's ass. Guys, I hope we're live on Facebook. I know if we are, the green screen is not working, so you're just seeing me and a green screen. I hope y'all can see everything else. I mean, Facebook always gives me a problem. I don't know why. Hope everything's working out. If not, we've already got 23 people in here on this one. That's great for me. I want to commend both of you guys and thank both of you guys for that. And it's time to get underway, guys. Before we even get to these topics, here's what I want to do. Let me get my clock up. You guys probably won't be able to see this clock, but I'll see it and I'll let you know when the times are up. Let me get it loaded up here. And what we're going to do, we're going to give each one of you guys 3 minutes. I was going to give 5, but 5, man, if we go 5, both y'all go 5 apiece, we'll be here forever. Here's the deal. You've got these 3 minutes. If you can make your point before 3 minutes, that's fine. You don't have to fill the whole 3 minutes. I'm going to hold it at my discretion that if you guys are making a point and I feel like it's something we really need to hear and it was a point important and the time ran out on you, I'm going to hold it at my discretion to give either one of you guys extra time to finish your thought. That sound good with all y'all?
It's good with me.
Okay, Johnny, we're going to start with you, man. Old school. Here's the thing. You got 3 minutes. Introduce yourself to us and anybody out there watching. Tell us who you are. Tell us how long you've been in the business and tell us your credentials. Any titles you've held, whatever, Johnny. Time, go.
Well, I'm the King Superstar, Johnny Dotson. He already said that I'm the CEO and the founder of Bluff City Wrestling. I've been wrestling almost 30 years. I was trained by Bill Superstar Dundee, and I also participated in the power plants. Every real Memphis wrestling belt that was on the air with Corey Macklin and Jerry Lawler, the Kang superstar Johnny Dotson held them. All the companies around this area, I've held every title. It'll take an hour for me to tell you all of my accomplishments. I done wrestled on TNA. I've wrestled on WCW. I've did things with WWE. You name it, I've done it. All of your favorite heroes and your favorites of all, the Kang superstar Johnny Dotson has probably wrestled them. So it ain't much else for me to say. I'll put this right here. Even almost 30 years in, I am still the absolute best, pound for pound, ounce for ounce in the business. And when you talk about professional wrestling in the Mid-South area, it's Johnny Dotson, the Kang superstar, and it's everybody else after.
That it,
I don't need
Johnny?
3 minutes.
There you go. I'm going to knock his timer off. Let me get another one set, Jason. And you got 3 minutes too. I'll tell you when to go. Let me get this one done. Y'all give me just a second. Try to figure out this timer. All right, Jason, you got 3 minutes. Go.
All right. First off, I got several text messages right when I started that I was low, so maybe we can get my volume up a little bit. Second of all, I didn't know we were going to be working the gimmick so hard. I thought that we were going to be doing this like a true, real men would be talking about instead of putting ourselves over so big. But if we're going to do that, so yes, I don't have 30 years in the business, and I have not been on WWE or TNA or anything like that. But what I have done is everywhere that I have been at the top. And since then, I've passed down what I've learned to people that can take it further than me. Number one, Marco Harris, which everybody knows is the top star in this area, and I can say that I'm the one who trained him. So I would say that's the biggest credential that I do have. And I'm humble. I admit that I'm not trying to make it to WWE. I got into this. My first match, I was 29 years old. It has been done, DDP, I understand that, but that's not what my goal has been. I enjoy what I do, being a weekend warrior as it may be. And I'm trying to make this area as great as I can.
All right, Jason, we're going to let this timer run out. Let's get it off of here. Guys, everybody knows who you are now. Apparently, we're not good on Facebook. I was just told, my wife told me that they can see me but can't see either one of y'all. Give me just a second. Let me move over and just see if I can figure something out. What's going on here?
Are we allowed to talk while you're working on this right here?
Yeah, go ahead, y'all. Y'all go ahead. Give me just a second.
Well, let me tell Jason Genesis something right now. He said, I thought we was going to get on here as real men and not put ourselves over. I don't have to put myself over because I'm already over. All I did was tell everybody who I am. That's it. I didn't mean to offend you, but when you got something good and you know you're good, you just tell the people. That's it. And I'm only telling the people who may not know who I am. And if you don't know who I am, you got to be living under a rock.
Jason, you got something to say? You want to rebuttal that a little bit, or you want to get down to business?
It's that last part. If you don't know who I am, you got to be living under a rock. There's plenty of people that don't know who you are, John. It's just like there's plenty of people that don't know who I am, and that is fine. But within this area, there's certain levels that people put people at, and I don't think that a lot of people put you any higher than they put me.
There you go. Hey, Jason, can you turn your volume up a little bit more so maybe we can get you a little bit louder?
I was trying. I haven't been able to. What if I just kind of hold it up?
All right, guys. Jason will get back on in just a second.
Did you hear what he said? He said, people put me at the level with him. I know that's a lie. He already lost that debate.
All right, Johnny. Jason's back in here with us. And now I'm echoing again.
Yeah, that's me. My headphones lost connection. Hold up.
Parky Will said Jason's still low. Leon Kellum, Jet Hero, he says you have to be ready at all times to put your brand over, and I agree with that. Leon says Kane takes that when that really wasn't a contest there. That was just an introduction. Are we ready, guys?
I'm ready for him to say he on my level. That was very offensive to me, so I'm definitely ready.
Am I sounding
All right.
better now? Is my volume better?
Say something again, Jason.
Is my levels better now? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know about everybody else out there. I got you good.
I'm just gonna
I
be.
can hear him. He's just kind of low.
Say it again, Jason.
I'm just gonna be nice and personal with my camera. That's just helping, I think.
All right, guys. Look, we're gonna get this thing kicked off. The first topic that we're gonna discuss: old school versus new school. You can see it at the bottom of the screen. Pro wrestling philosophy. And what I mean by this is, each one of you guys, what do you believe that pro wrestling is? Now, Johnny, since you opened it up and you got the first introduction, I'm going to let Jason give us his pro wrestling philosophy first. Jason, let me get this clock up and we'll be ready, man. Your time starts now.
All right, pro wrestling philosophy. That's such a broad question right off the bat. Can you narrow that down at all?
Well, just what do you believe pro wrestling is? What do you believe pro wrestling is to the fans? What are we doing here, man?
Okay, so it is a release. It is entertainment. It is sports meets entertainment. It is a bit of acting. It is storytelling for sure. I know that's going to be a big one, which can be a long-term or a short-term storytelling. Sometimes it can be just about the moment. Sometimes it can be about just the pop, and that's all that matters in that moment. And it's just really about having fun in whatever way you enjoy professional wrestling.
Is that it, Jason?
Yeah, I think that's good for me.
Okay, let me get this clock down. Let me get it reset. That didn't take Jason but a minute, Johnny. Hold on. Let me get this thing situated. Not working out as quick as I planned, guys.
You don't really need the clock. It ain't gonna take me long to answer my questions at all.
Okay, y'all want to do away with the clock because it's becoming more of a headache.
Yeah,
All right.
We're gonna be silly.
All you gotta do is tell me when to shoot.
Johnny, what's your pro wrestling philosophy? What do you believe pro wrestling is, man?
When I broke into business, pro wrestling to me is a sport. It's a contact sport between two grown men telling a story of good versus evil, involving the people, involving the fans, telling the story, making people forget for a second about their problems, about their jobs, about their bills. That's what it's about. But the story and the fundamentals has to be the same. It's a story of good versus evil, period. Point blank, two men trying to figure out who's the best. That's what pro wrestling is to me.
So it
It's
sounds
a
like,
fight.
but overall, y'all pretty much have the same philosophy, man, of the goal we're trying to accomplish, man. Like Jason said, it's escapism for some people. Like you like it more as a sport, but at the end of the day, we can't deny it's entertainment. And our job, pro wrestlers' job, is to go out there, engage their audience, and entertain these fans. So I feel like that one, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't feel like there's no old school or no new school in that one. I feel like y'all overall have the same philosophy of pro wrestling and what you think it's about. Would y'all agree?
I guess so.
We sit and talk about it. We're going to agree more than we disagree.
Jason said that. He told me that early on. Look, guys, before we get to the next topic, we got some comments. I'm gonna bring them on up. Jet Hero, he said, I started the win-loss when they first showed up. Kane showed up looking like a Kane. Jason showed up looking like a streetwalker. Come on, Leon, you just stirring shit, man.
Hey, life is work.
There you go. That's the mentality. Look, we got Gunner Petty with us. He says, no clock, let them cook. I agree with that. I'm glad the clock's gone. Perky Will, he said, Leon, I see you still on his nuts. So we getting some inner fighting now. We getting some squabbling between the people, the guest. Gunner Patty's back and he says, I agree, Buster. All right, guys, we fixing to pull it back over and go to the next one. And here it is. Let's bring that one down. Pro wrestling has a basic match structure. I don't want y'all to elaborate on anything but what y'all believe how a pro wrestling should start, middle, and end. What is the basic structure, Johnny? It's your turn, man. We're going to let you answer this one first.
Without pulling the curtain all the way back, but I guess I have to on this one. The story always is the baby face, the good guy versus the bad guy, right? So in the beginning, unless there's already some build tension, the good guy should always shine first. Always shine first, right? Somewhere in there, the bad guy comes in and he does something dirty to get the advantage. Once he gets the advantage, the good guy does something, or let the bad guy do something to screw himself, if you will, and it gives the good guy a comeback. The good guy gets a comeback, and we go to the finish. That's the basic structure of a wrestling match.
And that's traditional. That has been since wrestling started, since pro wrestling started, that's been the tradition. Jason, you're a new school guy. What do you believe a basic match structure is?
I do agree with all of that. What he missed in there and what makes my philosophy a little bit different is there needs to be a lot more hope spots. He didn't mention that at all. He mentioned like a cutoff, which is where the heel is really going to take over, and then we got the comeback, which is the finish. And I understand that those are the most important part. But to keep the match more exciting going through, to prevent what I call a heat fest, there needs to be some hope spots within that.
I can agree with both. Look, here's the deal. Johnny said it at the start. He said that there's a basic structure to a match. Babyface shines, heel gets his heat, babyface makes a comeback, we go to the finish. And Johnny also said something else. He said, unless there's already been some interaction, unless there's some heat. And I agree with both of you guys 100%. Here's the thing. In a very first match, like the first time you and Johnny tangle, I don't know that we need a ton of hope spots, but I am like Jason. With you two guys, if we put y'all in a main event show, both y'all are well known in this area, top guys. I want to see a few. I want to see at least probably 3 hope spots before we go to the finish. I think I'd like to see. You agree with that, Johnny? Or
no, I disagree. The reason why I disagree is because why would I give him some hope spots when he ain't on my level? I should just go ahead and keep the match the way it is, and that's the way it is. Now, if me and him have some heat or we have some real issues and problems, maybe. That's if I feel like bringing him to my level, which I would probably have to carry him the whole time anyway.
Johnny go talk that smack, Jason, no matter what, man. What's your thoughts of that, man? Because here's my thought before, go on and answer, Jason, if you got a rebuttal to Johnny there, and then I'll throw my 2 cents in.
He knows he's full of it. He's just trying to goad me into this match he's been begging for 2 to 3 years that
So here's my thought on that, Johnny. One thing I think we need to keep in mind, we're working for the fans. We're working for the fans. You feel like Jason's not on your level. And that's something you believe in your heart. But
absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's your job to make everybody believe he is on your level, even if he's not.
That's right.
And I feel like that's, I feel like both of y'all are right. And this ain't really about right or wrong. Like I said in the opening, for me, this is about opening up a great line of communications between the vets and the new guys coming in. Because I feel like that's the biggest problem we have in pro wrestling right now is the disconnect between the two groups, man.
And you want me to tell you why, though? And this is the truth. When we broke in, Buster, Hellraiser, because I never really call you Buster, but right. When we broke in, we had to earn it from the vets. They didn't give it to us because they didn't want to give you a rub and you was undeserving or unappreciative. You had to work for it. Like I told a kid today, I told him, I said, when I came to Memphis Wrestling, working for Jerry Lawler, Dundee, Corey Macklin, it wasn't easy. I was lucky to even get a punch because they wanted me to work for it. But now everything is always given. And I don't know if you know it or not, when things are given, it's unappreciated on so many different levels. And when you go somewhere else, where your friends ain't the booker, where your friends ain't the ones running the show, you soon find out that you ain't what you thought you were.
Jason, you got anything you want to add to that?
To me, that sounds like you're not working together to put on the best match and best show that you can. It's just like, just because I've been here longer, I'm going to make you look like shit. It is going to make. Can we cuss on this?
Yeah, man. Would I be here? Would I be here if we couldn't, Jason, man?
You're selling everything short. You're selling the match short to your fans that are paid for tickets that night just because you're going to make a rookie look bad because he's a rookie. Especially if he's got a look and he's got talent and you can showcase what he's good at and enhance his strengths and hide his weaknesses. There's no reason why you can't give that guy a push or a win to pop the crowd. Look at 1, 2, 3 Kid.
But now let me give you a rebuttal. We got to understand the 1, 2, 3 Kid didn't start off as the 1, 2, 3 Kid. He was the Lightning Kid in Texas. So he paid his dues in order to get to where he was. You see what I'm saying? So everybody want to jump past the building stage and automatically try to be equal. There is no way. Even if I wrestle Jerry Lawler today, I'm going to do whatever King says do. And once King see my humility and the respect that I give him for what he has done, that's when the King allowed me to beat him on TV. That's when the King said, hey, let's put this bet on this kid. That's when King, because he's seen that I was willing to give the vets their just due and follow the plan. Jerry Lawler didn't start off on top. He was getting whooped by Fargo until Fargo finally said, this kid got it. Let me pass it to him. And that's what we're getting away from. And that's the only thing that really makes me mad about the wrestling business. We need to keep it that way. Make guys earn it. Don't just give it to them. And just because you got a body, just because you can do flips, you still need to earn it. That's just me.
Jason, you got anything to add to that before we go to the next topic?
Okay, yeah, we'll talk on that. So, as far as listening to somebody, like if I were to have him after Jerry Lawler, of course I'm going to listen to every single thing that he's going to suggest. But I also trust him to not make the match suck, and he wouldn't. And or anybody in that legend status or that veteran status, you should listen to them, but they're going to make it good. What my issue is, and kind of why I've broken out as like this new school local representative, is because I realized that people were doing that to me that didn't have the best interest of the match. They just had the best interest for themselves. And that's where the Heat Fest term comes from, because I had so much of that on top of me until I broke out of that and earned my own way. But really, by turning heel, I was able to start controlling some matches because I understood what was going on, because I had sold as a babyface that nobody would give me anything on so many matches. And that's the difference between having good mentors and not. So, I mean, you feel what I'm saying? I see you kind of nodding. Let me hear what you kept saying.
Yeah. One thing about me, I'm a straight shooter. I'm a shoot you right. I can agree with you on that.
And
See, because a lot of people don't even know that I wrestled a kid in Wynn, Arkansas about a week ago. That was his third match. I put him over. You understand what I'm saying? Because you got to do things to make sense. And I can honestly say, when I wrestled Jerry Lawler didn't just eat me up. He actually made it look like I had a chance to win, right? But I had proven myself. My problem again is a lot of guys don't want to prove themselves. They think soon as they come somewhere, they automatically want to be at the top. Wrestling is an industry of egos. Everybody got an ego to some certain degree. But you can't think of yourself more than you ought to when you hadn't done anything or accomplished anything. And in this area, we got to it ain't too many people around here has wrestled in major promotions. There's only a few, because it's hard. And that's why I tell people, when you're a young guy coming in, You don't know who a vet knows. And you don't know what position that person may be in later. Sometimes the same bridge you burn, you have to cross it again one day, and it ain't gonna be there.
Here's the thing. I feel like both eras, old school guys, you had old school guys that would take young guys and just eat them up.
Yeah.
Just to make themselves look good.
Yes.
You've got that now. I don't really think that's an old school or a new school thing. I think that's a wrestling thing and an ego thing.
Yeah.
It's always been there. You've always had some vets will take a young guy in the ring and make him look like $1 million. Another vet will take him in the ring and just eat him up alive just so he gets over.
See, that's one thing with the newer generation. I couldn't find a worker under 30 that would do that. That would go into a ring and just eat somebody up because they have no or less experience. I think everyone that I would know within like this new school generation would do their best, even if it kills the business a little bit, to try to make the match as good as possible, rather than just getting themselves over and eating the guy up. I don't know anybody.
Well, the guys who's been really trained right and love the business and not just love themselves. Like, for example, when I worked Rich Swan, what's his name, Chuck Swan at Premier Pro, I didn't eat him up. I didn't. I try to work with him and do whatever, because that's just who I am. Because I really love this. I don't know if people really know it or not. This is all I've done since I've been 18 years old. I really love this. And so my thing is, we got to make sure we pass it on and it's in good hands. Because Lawler and Dundee, I love them, but they didn't make sure.
Right.
I'm just going to be honest.
I think that.
They death gripped them spots, man, until there wasn't a spot there for nobody to fill almost to the point, man, to the point of extinction at times. By not. I mean, here's my theory on that. How the hell did Brian Christopher not be the king of Memphis long before he passed away? Even before he went to WWE, Lawler should have been passing that torch to Brian, because he was the guy. He was the heir apparent to that spot, and I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And if you look at the old Memphis wrestling, because all of it's on there, notice none of the older guys were champions. It was the younger guys like me and Derek and Too Cool Too. It wasn't none of the older guys, because they knew that we were more entertaining, but they still wanted to hold on to their spots.
Right. All right, guys, look, we got these couple more comments I'm going to put up. This one here, a guy we know real well. Johnny, you know him, I know him. Jason, I don't know if you know him, but he says, Jason, that's on the promoter to some extent. If you're trying to draw money with people, you have to find everyone's strength, and from match one to the end should be solid.
Yep.
And I mean, this is a guy here who ran the WWE developmental company around here for several years. Started his own company that kind of changed the industry around here. So if there's any guy that I think we should be listening to, I think Golden's the guy. Look, we got one more comment I'm gonna put up right here, right now, right quick, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic. Gunnar Petty says, at the end of the day, old school or new school, the match structure should follow the booker's wishes. And I mean, that's pretty much what Terry just said too. It's up to the booker. It's up to the office. We got AT. He said, this is awesome. I appreciate it. Look, guys, I am trying my best to keep up with you guys in the comments. We're not going to be able to discuss them all, but I'm trying to at least pop them up so everybody gets their comment up where everybody can see it. We're going to move on now to the next topic. Let me find out where we are. All right. Let me pull this up. Let me get that comment off of here. Let me get over here, get this down. Y'all just deal with me, guys. There's a lot going on here tonight. Match pacing. Traditional methodical storytelling versus high-speed, high-spot matches. Jason, Johnny went first last. It's on you, dude.
I don't know that I'm the best new school guy as far as the high-speed, high-spot matches. I don't think I have a lot of that in my catalog if you look through stuff. I mean, it depends on the match for sure. I am 100% for storytelling within matches. It depends on the situation, especially as independent wrestlers, how much story needs to be told. Does it need to be a bell-to-bell story? It doesn't need to be stretched out storyline. That needs to be talked about with the booker and the promoter beforehand. How frequently are you going to be making that appearance? But if you're not coming back, then it needs to be that story needs to be bell-to-bell.
Right.
As far as the high speed, high spot stuff, I mean, if you're talking about multi-man matches, that stuff needs to be laid out or it's going to be boring. It's just not going to be good. If you're going to have 3 to more than that, you need to have some stuff in there that is set up, ready to go to get the high spots, to make that match special. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of brawling and really basic stuff. When it comes to this, and talk about like spots in general, I think that you should have more thoughts and creativity going into your matches. Otherwise, you're going to end up doing the same thing and doing what's safe and what's comfortable, which is what's important. You need to do what's safe. But if you're going to really push yourself and become better, you need to push your creativity and see what you can come up with. As far as the speed, do it at the same speed.
Johnny, what's your thoughts on match pacing, man? Traditional, methodical storytelling versus the new high speed, high spot matches?
I believe in both. You got to implement all. Implement all. Like I know, I started off as just a high flyer. That's all I did at the beginning of my career. I was a high flyer and I was very fast. But you only can move to the pace of the person that you're really working with, right? You don't want to be this high energy guy going 100 miles an hour, then you're wrestling a guy who can't keep up. Or you don't want to do death-defying, high-flying stuff and the guy don't know how to take it. You know what I mean? So you got to be methodical in your storytelling, and you need to make sure that you know how to control the pace. I worked Tony Gunn from OVW a few weeks ago, and his pace was a little different than the pace that I was accustomed to. Because I prefer to still try to be young, even though I'm old. I like to go bam, 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 bam. Some days I can go bam, 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 bam. But some days I'm hurting because it's cold. And when I get in there, I can't go bam, 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 bam. So if you can read your opponent and know your opponent, I believe you need to incorporate all of it to tell the story. Don't do so much high flying stuff. Don't go so fast to where when you do a move, it don't even matter to the people because they can't understand what you did. Before it can register, you go to something else. At least let them know what happened. Let them stop and be like, oh, and you sell it or whatever. Then you go to the next thing. But nowadays, I'm going to be honest, I see guys taking, what's called them, Canadian destroyers and pop up. Feed for a super kick, pop up. Take a power bomb, then just pop up. You know what I mean? So then what happens is it takes the effect from the moves. And then guess what? Nobody even remembers what you done in the match.
And here's my thought. You don't want to outpace your fans.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Look, you can do all the spectacular stuff you want as long as it's placed where it needs to be and it's done at the right pace that people can understand it. If you start outpacing your fans, that's when you lose your fans. That's my only issue with modern pacing and old school pacing is the fact that I sometimes I feel like the younger generation forgets that we're still working to the fans. And if we outpace the fans and we're 5 moves ahead, then the fans can even register. If they're 5 moves behind us, we lose them there. So I just believe don't outpace your fans at the end of the day.
That's what's going on with AEW. There's no wrestler in AEW that stands out. All of them do the same thing. Everybody. Super kick. You see 1,200 super kicks in a match. To where when I started, if Chris Adam hit you with that super kick, it's over. If Shawn Michaels super kicked you, it was over. It's just different, man. I guess I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, but it's different.
Yeah, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves because we're going to talk about signatures and finishers on down the list.
Okay.
I'm going to start keeping you guys on focus a little more because I don't want to talk about something that's a topic.
Gotcha.
Let's run through these comments. Let everybody's comment get popped up there right quick, and then we'll move on to the next. Or Jason, do you got any rebuttal to what we just had? You got anything to add while I'm letting these comments roll?
No, I agree with that. I don't like popping up from certain moves. Like, I mean, you should not pop up from a powerbomb or a Canadian or anything like that. I'm not a fan of any of that. As far as like putting your spots together quickly, if you have a combo that leads into a bigger move, as long as you sell the big move appropriately, then I like it. If it's smooth and the combo like kind of lines up with each other with each move. Does that make sense?
It does. And here's the thing, True Rebel, the matches are too fast now for the most part, and I tend to lead. I don't have a problem with a fast-paced match. There's always been guys who went out there and worked a quick pace. Even back in the old days, you just can't outpace your fans. You got to make sure your fans are right where you want them, right when you want them there. And if you get ahead of them, you've lost them. And I think that was a great point by True Rebel right there. Leon's back. He said, high speed or not, it has to have the story. And obviously, I believe that. We got Patrick O'Malley with us, and he says, I believe methodical storytelling is the best way to pace a match, but I also believe in this modern wrestling world, people need to know how to work both, so they'll be able to work with anyone. And I think I don't think that's a modern thing or a traditional thing. That's a pro wrestling thing. If you're a professional wrestler, you need to be able to work with damn near anybody they stick you in the ring with at any time. No matter what style or what, you need to be able to get in there and produce a good match. Perky's back with us. He said, every match I've been a part of has had a story from the entrance, from entrance to entrance or entrance to exit even. If it's the first time, even if it's the first time we've ever had a match, and I'm like Jason, that goes back to what Jason said. And Johnny, we know this well. Back in the day, you had a lot of one-off matches. And the first thing you were told was, tell a story. You got this one match. Tell a one-match story right here to these fans. Give them something they can follow. Tell them a story, like Jason said, from bell to bell. You got one shot. Let's tell them a quick story, something they understand and something they can get behind. We got Gunner Petty with us. He said, well said, HR. I appreciate it, Gunner. Cordell. And this is a guy who growed up in professional wrestling, Cordell Robinson, the bull from the woods. He said, I believe in today's world of wrestling, you have to be able to do the high spot matches with the storytelling. Most fans want to see the athleticism of today's wrestlers, and I agree with that. I agree with it. It's just finding the perfect marriage of the two. Mike Thrasher's with us, and he said, it's a roller coaster ride for the fans, or it should be up and down, and I agree with that too. There ain't no doubt about that. That's what a pro wrestling match is. A good one, it takes you through a gamut of emotions to a climax. Perky Will's with us. He said, I'm gonna read this one, Perky, but I ain't gonna read you and Will's you and Leon. He said, Leon, you know all about that ass kissing, I'd wear that mask to cover up that brown ass nose. Damn. All right. So let's get back to business, guys. Let's go back to the topics. All right. We did pacing. All right, guys. Here's the thing. Here's one of the things I'm most interested in. Match psychology. Old school psychology versus the modern style. Johnny, Jason went first last. I'm going to let you open this up. What do you believe the difference is in old school match psychology, old school pro wrestling psychology, and new school pro wrestling psychology?
Man, that is so simple. Old school psychology was a fight. It was a fight. To me, the modern style of professional wrestling is more about showing athleticism and flashy moves. That's what I think. You know what I mean? But I say this too, everything evolves. Because guess what? It ain't gonna go back to the way it was when we started. So if you're an older guy that's in the industry and you still want to remain relevant and you still want to do this, you're gonna have to learn some of the new stuff. That's why I got my pen and paper. Because guess what? Even though Jason Genesis is not on my level, I still can learn from him. You can learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Damn. See, we was hoping it wouldn't devolve.
No, I'm just saying.
I can see
That's really the gift.
the King Superstar. He can't help himself, Jason. You got. Are you done, Johnny?
I'm done. That's a
Okay.
good answer.
And I agree with that. I agree with back in the old days, you look at it like a fight. You tried to present it as a fight, even though everybody's always knew. It ain't like people had to always known it's a work. They just believed. Jason, what's your thoughts on the difference in modern pro wrestling psychology versus old school pro wrestling psychology?
First and foremost, it's entertainment. You can scroll on Facebook Reels and you're immediately going to see UFC, and that just doesn't look like what we do. We want things to look impactful and we want things to look real. We don't want there to be daylight for our strikes and things like that. But what we do just doesn't look like what the top real fighters do in the world. So I think it's about making it entertainment, making it entertaining. Yes, because we have all the contract and the athleticism, that's what people get lost in it. They get to see the art of it up close, and that's when the pops and everything comes from. Plus, with the charisma and just getting attached with the characters, it all works in tandem together. But I don't think anyone over 10 years old goes to a show really thinking that we're trying to kill each other anymore.
And here's the thing, and Johnny, me and you've had this conversation off record. Mm-hmm. You're a firm believer in pro wrestling as a sport. And me and you have had the conversation where I've said, at the end of the day, pro wrestling is entertainment. It is more entertainment than sport. Right. So what's your thoughts about that, Johnny? Because, I mean, talk to us. Do you feel any different now? Has your perspective on wrestling psychology changed any?
Well, what somebody put on here, I can remember when WWE went on Netflix for the first time, that first Monday night. And Triple H made a statement that I have been saying for years. We know the curtain's been been pulled back. We know that. But when we can blur the lines between what's fictional and what's reality, I'm the master of that on Facebook. I blur the lines. What's the King Superstar and who's Johnny Dotson? Even though they know it's entertainment, right? Even though they know it. But sometimes if you get involved and get engulfed in those storylines so deeply, you forget that it's not real. But Jerry the King Lawler and Bill Dundee, you couldn't tell me back in the days that those folks really weren't trying to kill each other. But guess what? A lot of people don't even know they really didn't like each other. And because everybody knew they didn't like each other, it drew money because of the believability aspect of it. That's what nobody want to do anymore. The believability. Make it look like I really don't like Jason Genesis. That if he was sitting right beside me, I'd slap them headphones off his head. Make people believe that. Like, man, he really don't like this dude. I believe these folks really finna fight. If we can get that back in the industry around here, maybe then we can start really drawing money again.
And here's the thing about that. I agree with Jason on this point. With the UFC now and things like that, you've got that to compare pro wrestling to. So obviously we can turn one on one TV, one on the other, side by side, and we know who's really hitting each other and who's not. Right. At the end of the day, pro wrestling, you're talking about the reason those people believed. That is what we're looking for. It's because Lawler and Dundee went out there and made people believe, plus they used the reality that they really don't like each other all that well. They respect the hell out of each other. Worked together for years, but Dundee always wanted Lawler's spot.
That's right.
And they fought for that spot. Jason, you got anything to add to that, man?
No, I don't think so. No.
So look, John Michael Everett made a point. He said the biggest difference in old psychology and new style is the simple word believability and selling. And I believe that. Cordell said he hit it right on the head, and I do too. Here's the thing. There's no way we can convince nobody that pro wrestling is real anymore. But I coin it to this. When you go to a movie theater and you buy a ticket for a movie, you don't go in there and the whole time you're watching that movie, you're thinking this is fake. If the
Right.
movie's good and it does its job, you're right there with them, man. You're jumping, you're laughing, you're crying, and that's what pro wrestling is at the end of the day. Pro wrestling is all about evoking emotions out of people, triggering emotions, and I think it's still up to us. And here's the thing: good, solid physical wrestling and really good storytelling. Good storylines and good storytelling, that's how you make people believe it's real for 15, 20 minutes. For 15 or 20 minutes, they suspend that belief just like they do in a movie. You don't walk out of a great movie and the first thing you say was, that was killer, but it was fake. No,
Right.
it was a killer-ass movie. You don't walk out of a great pro wrestling match thinking, man, that was awesome, but it was fake. No, you done forgot all about fake. All you're thinking about, man, that was awesome. And that's just pro wrestling, man. That's just pro wrestling. Let me see if we got any more comments before we go on to the next one. True Rebel's back. She said, entertainment, yes, but it's not like an actor can go out and have a match. It takes skill and physical endurance. And I say this all the time. Pro wrestlers are not actors. We're not actors. We are extensions of who we are. It's as simple as that. Johnny Dotson really has the King Superstar in there. That's not just an act. It's really in there. Jason Genesis, Mr. Revel in My Greatness, that attitude is really in there. That's really part of Jason Genesis. It might not be the whole package, but to be a great wrestler, even a good wrestler, whatever your gimmick is, whatever your persona needs to be, an extension of who you really are. It's just as simple as that. That's how people believe. If you believe it, they'll believe it. Thomas is with us. He said, he going to smack the crown off of your head, Johnny. So AT's with us. Says, old school pulled us in and allowed us to escape reality. New school is living off the love we have for wrestling, but we don't really believe. We like it, but we know it's just a show. And I'll be honest with you, AT. I think you're 100% right, but I don't think it's just the wrestling or the wrestlers. It's society itself, man. We're so far ahead. It's technology. It's social media. It is what it is. Wrestling is entertainment. It's looked at as entertainment worldwide. It would be hard pressed to find anybody but Johnny now that believes it's still a sport. I mean, really, it's hard. It's entertainment all the way through. All right, guys, I'm just going to start popping some of these up. And while I'm getting ready to go to the next thing, let's pop them up and get them up here. Derek King's still better than Johnny Dotson, even if he drinks 2/5 of vodka. That's what Bradley Merchant said. I didn't say that now.
He's slow.
Derek or Bradley Merchant?
Both of them.
Oh. So look, Mark McGee's with us, educated fan. He said, old school, new school. I need that good blend. I drive 17 hours to see talent work and tell that story. I don't want to fall asleep. Johnny shared similar views as my cousins did back in the day. His cousins were the Vachons. He's cousins to Mad Dog Butcher Vachon. So he's a guy who's grown up around the wrestling business. He's really educated about it. He's more than just a fan. All right, guys, here we go. Let's go to the next topic. Let me pop it up here. Match length, traditional versus modern, how it's changed and its impact on storytelling. I done forgot who we started with. Johnny, I think I'll let you answer the last one first. Jason, I'm going to give this one to you, man. What do you think the difference is between modern and traditional storytelling and match length, how it's impacted the storytelling?
All right, if we're talking about match length, I can't stand on like the AEW new school match length. The amount of falsies that they put in every match and stuff like that, that's not for me. I can't. That's not my kind of new school. So I think the match length needs to be what can be maintained and be exciting. You have to, as workers in the ring, if the crowd tells you when they're ready for you to get out of there. So you need to be listening to that. So yeah, you do need to be able to cut your stuff out if the crowd's not responding to you, and get out of there and go cut your losses and go figure out why you lost the crowd. But as far as like what's happening on AEW right now, it's just 15, 20, 30-minute matches and they're kicking out of everything. I can't defend that.
I agree with that. And Johnny, before I even let you give your point, Jason made a point right there, man. He said, we let the crowd tell us when it's over. Are you surprised to hear that from a new school guy? Because here's the thing. I was taught we tell the fans what they want to see, but you also listen to the fans at the same time. You go out there and they're shitting on what you're doing, you change. You pivot right then. You do not just stick to that same plan. Are you surprised to hear that from Jason? That's a new school guy who,
and that's why I tell the young guys that I deal with, you got to know how to work. You know what I mean? It's one thing to be able to wrestle, and it's also another thing to be able to know how to work. Because you can go out there and write your match down from start to finish, and if the people ain't buying it and you're trying to stay with the script, that don't make sense. If you go out there and you got a time limit and you already got everything set up and the crowd ain't buying it, you got to be able to call an audible right in there and walk and talk it out. But now, as far as time constraints, there's a difference between a house show match and a TV match.
Right.
And a lot of guys who hadn't worked TV before, when they come in to do a television show, they don't really understand that part of it. So it's all about what story you're trying to tell and the time frame you have to do it.
And here's something too. That's up to the booker. Here's the thing. If I'm booking, I'm not going to send you guys out there and give y'all 20 minutes to tell a 10-minute story. Because 10 minutes of it is going to be the shits, no matter if y'all do spectacular stuff. I mean, it's my job. It's the booker's job to tailor his storyline and angle and your match length to where he thinks it's going to take y'all this amount of time to completely tell this story, this section of it right here today. And that's something I think people forget in wrestling. I mean, it's out there. It's entertainment. We're in control of every aspect of it.
We're the puppet master.
Well, it's not just deciding I'm going to have a 15-minute match and send you and Jason out there to have a 15-minute match. If it's a one-off, sure, we can do that. But if we're in an angle, well, there's pivot points we need to hit during this angle. And it might not take, you and Jason may not only need but 6 good minutes to further this story to the next step. I'd rather have 5 or 6 action-packed, exciting minutes than 15 or 20 lackluster minutes in a pro wrestling match.
I agree.
Jason, you got anything to add?
To what you're saying, it depends on where you're at in the story. So, like, if you need us to fill the 15 to 20, we should be able to tear the house down like it to blow off, have whatever kind of shenanigans in the finish to keep it going, and then come back and still have another banger. You should be creative enough to be able to do that slide.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, dude. I agree with that. Here's the thing. Every section of an angle, it ain't laid out a certain time. One match we might need 5 minutes. The next one we might need 15 to tell the story we're trying to tell that night. I agree with you 100% on that, Jason.
Like that, where I'm kind of going with that is like something I used to get all the time was save this move or save that move. Like it's not hitting the move itself that matters. It's how you get to the move and the drama that you create getting to it, whether you hit it or whether you don't. So to me, it's about being creative enough to create different ways to get into that move. So you don't necessarily got to save everything. You just got to come up with different ways to get there.
See, now we talk about the moves, right? But in order for that move to mean something, that means the crowd has to already have seen that move before and know that's part of your deal. So that'll make them go, because everybody know you always want to hit it. But if you don't hit it, then, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I try to get people to understand. You know, if you blocking something that nobody really knows that what you're going to do, it really don't have that wow effect to it. And,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. That goes back to placement, match structure, placing your moves where you're going to get the maximum effect out of each move. You know, look, Roger Dotson is with us, and it says less is better than doing a lot of spots, and that's one thing I was taught early on too. In pro wrestling, most of the time, simple is better.
Yes.
Most of the time, simple's better, because you go to getting too convoluted, it's like outpacing your fans again. If you start losing them to the point they don't know what's going on, then you've lost them. You know, it just is what it is. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next lineup. Move sets and their effectiveness. Simple versus complex. Johnny, Jason went first last. Move sets and their effectiveness. And this here plays right off of what we just said. Where you play certain moves to get the maximum effect out of them. What's your
There is froze up.
Yeah,
No, I can hear you, dude. You're good.
Okay. I can remember working Tracy Smothers. And Tracy's not a big guy, but he's bigger than me. So it makes me look like, you know, I'm tiny or whatever, right? And the whole match, no matter what we did, he always let me get him back to the arm drag, right? So he wanted to show me that you can do something simple. Because every time I put him back in that arm drag, the people was yelling. So finally I go to reach for that arm drag again. He cut me off because the people wanted me to do it again. He cut me off. And he showed me you could take something as small as an arm drag and tell a whole story by keeping it simple and then make it later complex. Because then once I got him up to go for an arm drag, he scooped me up like I'm going to go for an arm drag. He had me in a body slam and some kind of way turned me and hit me with a power drop. So he still told the story, and that was all him. That was Tracy Smothers. So I just think that we just gotta do stuff that makes sense. If you work the arm, work the arm. Don't leave the arm and go to the leg. If you go, just basic stuff, man.
Jason, what's your thoughts, man? Move sets and their effectiveness, simple versus complex. And here's the thing: obviously, modern wrestling, there's a lot more going on than used to be and had to be, and I understand that. And I feel like you're a perfect representation of the modern style. So talk to me about what you think the move sets and their differences are.
I think everybody should have like their 5 moves of doom, something they have go-tos that they can hit safely on anybody or almost anybody, that they can work into their matches, that they can tell different stories with when they're setting those moves up. I am definitely, like to your last point that we were on right before we got into this question, Johnny. If they haven't seen the move before, then it doesn't matter so much. So that's a big part of being creative as wrestlers, having your moves. Once you get that certain slam over, whatever it is, finding different ways to fight for it, and whether you get it or not, that's what creates the drama within your regulars there. But if you're traveling more and you're in a one-off, then I mean, you should go ahead and get shit in.
And I mean, I agree with Jason on that to that point, man. I think you got to get your moves over. And we're going to get into a topic because we do have a finisher and signature move. Johnny, you got any rebuttal to what Jason said?
No, I agree. Now, I will say I was impressed with what he just said because I just told a kid today, master what you do well. You know what I mean? Get you 3 or 4 moves, master what you do well. Because if you look at a Bret Hart match, right? If you watch one Bret Hart match, you know he's going to do the side Russian leg sweep. You know he's going to do the elbow drop off the second rope.
Chest into the turnbuckles.
You know, even if you watch Ric Flair move set, you know he's going to do the flip over the rope. Because everybody know that's what, you know, Shawn Michaels was doing the same thing. The kip up, flying clothesline to the kip up. Pop up, go to the top rope, drop the elbow. Master what you do well and build around that.
I agree with that 100%.
I was impressed. That's the only time I've been impressed with you, but you said that.
Jason, you got anything else to add to that?
Just go watch my matches and compare how boring yours are.
Ah!
What'd he say? I missed it. What'd he say?
Go on and repeat that for him, Jason.
Just go and watch my matches and compare them to how boring yours are. I watched that one with Tony Gunn the other day you were talking about. I didn't want to mention it.
Did you watch it?
Ooh.
I did watch it.
How was it?
I just told you. It was
It was boring.
no, you did good. I don't think you're a good baby face. I think you're selling to the people in the sky.
You want me to tell you what? Let me tell you what's going on too. And this is education 1-on-1 for you, and for a lot of young guys, right? When you write all your stuff out and you call everything in the back, you remove the thought process of crack or interaction because you're so focused on trying to get your moves in.
That can happen.
And I'm gonna leave that at that.
Jason, you got anything to add to that?
That can definitely happen. That's a skill that we should all work at. Like you should be able to walk the talk. You should be able to call it all in the back, step for step, and you should be able to mess up what you called in the back and get back on track without getting mad at each other either. All those things come in the form of a good worker.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next topic, and here it is. Safety concerns and their impact on move sets, because nowadays guys are doing some wild, crazy stuff that's really dangerous. Who started last? I done got lost. Which one of you guys started the last topic?
I did, Jason.
Jason, it's on you, man. Talk about safety concerns with all the high flying dangerous moves that guys do now.
Once again, I'm not the best representative in this. I'll be there to catch anybody if that's what they're wanting to do, but I don't do a lot of dives myself. To me, that's the most dangerous because you never know what elbow or knee is coming at what angle. A lot of these like really tight moves, like Penta's finisher that he's been doing in WWE, like those are scary, man. I don't know about those. I don't take none of that. It would take a certain person that I really trust a lot to take certain moves like that. But most of my stuff is really, I'll take a lot of bumps and I'll take high bumps, but they'll be flat, and that's just the way I like to work.
Johnny, what's your thoughts on the safety concerns today with all the high risk moves and how it impacts guys' moveset? Here you're a perfect example. You're not a spring chicken. 47, it's no secret. You don't do all the things. You can do them, but you don't do all the things that you used to do, because in actuality, Johnny was one of those high-flying guys. When he first come around, he was the equivalent of today, 30 years ago. So answer this. What do you think, Johnny? You're a guy who has to definitely concentrate on what he does do and don't do no more, no matter what you want to do. What's best for you and your health?
When you're doing this, you're trusting the next guy with your life, and I don't think people really understand it. And this is a straight shoot. I've had 17 surgeries in my life. I've ruptured my C6, C7. I've had 2 reconstructive ankle surgeries. Like you name it, I've pretty much done it, right? And I remember Bill Dundee used to tell me, "Why are you doing that? Why?" And he told me, he said, "When your bump cards start to get full, you're gonna regret doing a lot of things that you should do." I used to do the moonsault to the floor, round off, over the top rope to the floor, all that crazy stuff. And guess what? Jerry Lawler used to go out there and throw 2 punches and get a louder reaction than me.
Right.
So in this industry, longevity is key. Longevity key. Be smart. Just because you think it's cool doesn't mean it may be wise to do. Because all it takes is somebody to have on too much baby oil. Take it from me. Have too much baby oil and stuff, and you get up on the top rope and you slip off. There's been a time that I crashed and burned because we was in Corinth. I jumped off the top rope. Alan Steele slipped on some water. He wasn't there. I was already gone.
Right.
And all I heard was a splat on the floor. I told him I couldn't move. He was like, "You got to move. We got to finish." So be careful who you trust with your body is what I say.
Right. And here's the thing. Back in the day, there were a few guys that did some spectacular stuff, but Overall, it was in the ring bumping.
That's right.
You wasn't doing a whole lot of you wasn't doing a bunch of Canadian destroyers. I mean, think about this. When the Frankensteiner showed up, when Scott Steiner brought the Frankensteiner here, that was the greatest thing ever, man. And it was fresh, it was new, it was exciting. But they're dangerous too. I've seen Scott Steiner land on his damn head a few times doing that Frankensteiner. And you know as well as I do, both of you guys, man, at the safest times in the pro wrestling ring, you can get hurt. Accidents happen. Accidents absolutely happen. Jason, you got anything you want to add to this?
No, I think it's another one we agree on more. Like, I try to keep my bump card. I don't do anything too crazy. I don't bump on the floor or nothing like that. So I think we agree for the most part on this one.
Let me see. We got a few comments. We got Ty Miller. Here's a young guy right here. He's part of EOG. Got a lot of fucking potential to be a great star in the wrestling business. He says high flying takes a toll on your body. And I mean, he's young. This is a dude who's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 27 years old. And he's already out there talking about high flying takes a toll on your body, especially in the modern era where you're doing a lot of high flying and big bumps all the time now. Used to the superplex was a bump. That was the bump, you know. And we got the Do or Die podcast that said it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I agree with that too. We got John Michael Everett with us. He said, I was trained in Canada. Hold on, it moved. I was trained in Canada with the Hearts. Trust is so important, and trust is earned by putting the time in over and over. Johnny, would you trust me to take care of Johnny, would you trust me to take care of him? But that can't be said for everyone.
See, I wrestled John Michael several times, and I used to do all kinds of dives on him. He said Johnny would trust me to be there, and he has every time. When it was Picture Perfect, there were some guys that you didn't mind doing, like even with Tim and Flex, Too Cool Too. They'll tell me to do all the high stuff because they're willing to hurt themselves to make sure I don't get hurt.
And that's something too. I mean, we're out there trying to protect each other at the same time that we're beating the shit out of each other too. You know, it's all about safety. Jason, is there anything else you want to add before we go to the next topic?
No, we can move on.
Okay. All right, guys. Signature moves and finishers and how they have evolved from the past to present. Johnny, I'm going to let you start this one off. What do you think about signature moves and finishers now? Because now everybody's got a finisher. Used to only the stars had finishers. Now guys just starting out in the wrestling business in their first match has already got a finisher. So talk to me about signature moves and finishers and how they've evolved, man.
They have evolved a lot. Because back in the days, if you got hit with your finish, that was it, right? That was it. And one thing, I think he hit on it a little earlier. I remember when King came and asked me, he said, you need to have a finish. If we're going to have the belt on you and stuff, you need a finish. And he said, you're a small guy. You got to have something that you can hit on everybody, no matter who it is. And so that's when he mentioned, like, you know, the frog splash. Uh-oh. Did I get out of here? Am I still here?
Yeah, we got you, dude.
Okay. People were calling and they must have known I was on, but yeah, so that's why he mentioned the Eddie Guerrero frog splash. And that's what I started to do, right? But as I got older, the impact on the knees from off the top rope, I had to find something different. So the flatliner was something that I was like, okay, I can do that with big guys and small guys. And you just gotta figure it out and just make sure your finisher stays. You gotta protect it. Does that make sense? Protect your finish. You know, when we went to TNA and we went to WCW and we went to WWE, they would tell you what move you could use. If somebody else had that in their move set or that's their finisher, you couldn't do it.
Right.
And I think that's what's wrong now with the wrestling business, because now you can see your finish in the match before you.
Exactly right. Now, that's a good fucking point right there. Back in the day, if someone, and I look, this is back when sometimes a drop kick could be a finish from the right person.
Right.
If a guy used the drop kick as his finish, nobody else on the show used that damn drop kick that night. Nobody drop kicked.
That's right.
Simple as that. Jason, what about you, man? Signature moves and finishers, man. How do you feel like that evolved from the old school to the new school, man?
Well, I can't imagine a drop kick being a finish, so that's mind blowing. I knew the suplex was, but I didn't know a drop kick was. As far as like the finish, it needs to be something identifiable with you, and it needs to be hopefully something to do with your character work or something like that. What I love about the finish the most is that it's like your main building block as far as telling your story with your match, or it can be depending on what your finish is. You can use that to tease it throughout the entire match, and whether you hit it or whether you don't.
Right.
As far as like how extravagant the finish is, or not really, like seeing your finish in a match before, that's just going to happen when you have independent wrestlers that are all crisscrossing and everything like that, unless the booker or the promoter is going to say specifically, hey, I got this one guy, he don't hit this and this move or whatever, but that's on them to make sure that whoever you're bringing in on the road doesn't use one of the moves of one of your regular guys, if that's going to be a big deal to you. But ultimately, I think it's about who has it over. Like Shawn Michaels' super kick is over, so it doesn't matter who he hits it on. It's just because it's Shawn Michaels doing it. And most people, they hit it, and it's a setup move. It's just like a stunning move to set up something else. And that's okay. It's just because Shawn's is over. That's what matters. Getting the move over by the person doing it.
And here's a perfect example of this. I said this 6 or 7 months ago to somebody. You could let one of the young bucks hit their super kick in the same arena. You could let them use their super kick, and even, you could even let them finish the match with it. You could send Shawn Michaels right out behind them, let him have a match, let him hit super kick, and I guarantee you, Shawn Michaels is going to get a huge reaction when he backs in that corner and that foot, and everybody knows it's time for sweet chin music. They're going to explode. His super kick means more than one of the young bucks super kick. Every day of the week, all day.
All right, here goes another teaching point. Jeff Jarrett, when he first started, his finish was a drop kick.
There you go.
One of the world greatest tag teams, their finishing move was a double drop kick, the Rock and Roll Express.
That was different. I knew that.
Hey, Jeff will kick your head off. He still got a hell of a drop kick today, man. Still got a hell of a drop kick. But all right, so here's the thing: signature moves, like Jason said, it's something you can use to work through the whole match, build to. It's something that people identify with you. But finishers, here's the thing: why is it called a finisher if everybody kicks out of it? What's y'all's thoughts? Johnny, go for it, man. Tell me what your thoughts about finishers, man, and why. How can it even be a finisher if it don't finish people?
Well, I said if I hit somebody with my finisher, they don't need to get up unless somebody else come to the ring and break the count. Or sometimes if it's a good storytelling match and I hit my finisher in the wrong placement in the ring, because they don't have the strength to kick out, they can at least put their foot on the rope to stop it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think the finisher should be what it is, a finisher. Period.
Jason, what's your take on it, man?
I mean, I agree. I've always protected my finish. I do like it for storytelling, like proudly. The first person to kick out of my finish, the last chapter, was Marco when he won the first title at EPW. And I had it protected for the whole year, and he just kicked out. It wasn't a foot on the rope or anything like that, but it created that moment because I was able to get the move so over those months as champion. So I was fortunate to be able to tell that story that way with the big kick out, with the big underdog baby face, and get all that over that we wanted to. But that was a special situation. You shouldn't do it all of the time. Another situation when I did have like someone kick out of my finish, this was afterwards, is I let Wonder Boy kick out of it on TV one time. But it was the first move of the match. So I was trying to cut him off. If you know my finish, it's like a curb stomp. And I was cutting him off as he came in, so it was a really quick match. That's what we had time to work with. So the story I was trying to tell is I hit him with my biggest move right off. He kicked out, and then we went home a minute later. So that's like another situation where I can justify from someone kicking out of my finish. But typically, I don't think you should do it very often unless you have some shenanigans with like a manager to help out or a partner if it's a double team or anything like that.
I was impressed with that. I was impressed with what you just said. You hit the finisher soon. The curve stump soon. He sit in the ring. So that means that he was so fresh that that's good psychology.
And here's something else. The deal with Marco. It means something when the right person at the right time kicks out of a finisher that has finished everybody else.
Yep, that level him up.
That's the psychology of professional wrestling right there. That's it. It means something. Y'all built that to a finish. You built that to the point where when Marco kicked out, and when you hit him and everybody knew it was over, he kicked out, it was a special moment. You can't do that every day of the week. You can't do that 3 or 4 times a year. That only works when it's built right and it's done with the right person.
And that's probably was the big blow off from y'all too, right?
It was a big title win, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to I'll tell you what, let's get a couple comments. We got a couple left. Tyrell said he's 25. My bad, Tyrell, man. My bad. Johnny Crazy Max has been on your ass all night long. I hadn't read any of the comments out, but he been giving you hell all night, dude.
He can't find his dentures. He's upset.
Look, the Do or Die podcast. Do you think finishers today have become overly complicated and less realistic with the era of wrestling? This is a perfect question for both of you guys. Jason, you go first, man. Do you think finishers today have become overly complicated and less realistic?
Finishers in general, no, I don't think so. But I think certain people's shine moves are overly complicated and unrealistic, but I like it because it gets them over. So like one example, like, and it is a finish, but the people's elbow is the first thing that comes on because it's so ridiculous. But every one of us would lay there that whole time waiting on it to come down. But we say that we would do that because it's The Rock, but The Rock only became The Rock because someone else laid there and let him do that goofy move. So I think we should let people try to get this stuff over if they have an idea like that. And sometimes the old school guys won't play along with some of the new school guys' ideas, is what I'm getting at.
And here's something about the people's elbow, and I believe Johnny can attest to this. The first time that shit went on, we thought it was garbage. What in the hell is this? Old school wrestling psychology. Why is the guy just laying there for 60 to 90 seconds just looking up at you while you're doing all this, jump over him twice? And I was one of the first ones. I thought that shit's trash, but I was also one of the ones that 5 or 6 months later, I'm popping for the people's elbow every time The Rock does it. So it's all about owning. That's the thing about pro wrestling. We're all out here doing mostly the same moves. It's how you own those certain moves too.
Right. Like people don't realize like the 5-knuckle shuffle and the worm is the same thing. They just go into it different. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. They just go into it differently. You know what I mean? But whatever works. You know, I'm kind of like you. I give Jason Jennings credit on that one. I'm kind of like, and you too, Buster. I used to be like, man, what? Man, I would get up and kick him right in the face if I had to lay that. But after you start seeing it, I'm like, people in the elbow. I'm popping for it too. So hey.
So here's an example on the local level. Y'all know Chuck's my boy. So he's got this thing where he's blocking somebody and he does like kind of a worm with his arm and it goes all the way through the opponent and he comes back and then he punches them with the whiplash. And I love it. I think it's fun, but some guys are shooting him down on that. So like when he does it, it always gets a pop. So it's like, that's kind of where the new school versus old school thing is. Like how if people aren't going to they're going to take themselves too seriously, they're not going to let Chuck get his move in versus if they'll play along and let him try to get his shit and see if he can get it over.
Okay, so I can help you on that one. If Chuck doing things like that, he has what we call a feature gimmick. You know what I'm talking about? Hellraiser, that's what we used to call it.
Right.
The feature gimmick. You know what I mean? So when you got guys who is billed as a real tough guy or a real bad butt, he ain't gonna stand there and let him do that. They're just not, because that's what their reputation is. And that's how they're built, and that's their character. So they ain't gonna sit there and watch them do that. If you would notice, in most cases, when people have those kind of matches like that, it's always gimmick matches with other gimmick people. You know, like you would never see like I can't use Agent Street. Agent Street really was that guy. He was a tough guy for real. Like
Right.
can't really use that. But when Agent Street later on was just doing the gimmick stuff, it would be all gimmick matches. Even though he was a real tough guy in the beginning, he would do all that stuff in the beginning, but then he would buckle down and beat your brains out because he really could beat your brains out for real. So
Right.
Chuck has to. That's why I'm kind of like with Buster. Me and him had a conversation about him a few weeks ago. He should be a heel. He just should be a heel.
And here's something about Chuck, what you just told us. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, the fans are the real judges.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're here to do. At the end of the day, whether I like it, whether Johnny likes it, it's all about what those fans like and what they react to. And I mean, honestly, you can't get no more stupider than the people's elbow or the worm. So I mean, anything's up for grabs. If you can do it and make the people get behind it, I feel like more power to you on that one. You know, because go ahead, Jason.
Just my whole point with that is, like you said, if it's a real tough guy, he would shoot it down, but nobody's too tough to lay there for the people's elbow. And if Chuck's move's getting over with everybody that he's done it on, and some old school guy's going to say no with that, that's where we have a big difference on opinion.
Well, here's the thing, though. That boils down to the booker. I mean, unless you got an old school guy with the seniority of Jerry Lawler or Bill Dundee,
right.
If I'm working for a dude and he's paying me, I'm there to do the job he wants me to do that night. You know, if I'm booking and I got a talent that if I want Chuck to hit his move and the talent don't want it, then the way I look at it, they would have told us in a heartbeat.
Get your bag and get out.
Get your shit and be gone, man. Don't ever come back here. And that's just the way I feel about that. Look, Leon's with us. He says, looks like they're agreeing more than they're disagreeing. So is this an old school and new school? And Jason made this point. He told me when we first talked about this, he said, I feel like we're going to find out we agree on more things than we disagree on. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to separate, to take that invisible line between the old veterans and the new guys coming in away. Because I feel like that's the whole thing. I think there's an invisible line there that keeps all of us from coming together for the betterment of professional wrestling.
Well,
there's
I would
stuff
say
that went on go ahead, Johnny.
I would say this for the most part. A lot of guys come up with their own perception of a lot of the vets, and they really don't know them. Like they really hadn't sat down and talked to them. I still have to kayfabe a little bit. I don't like any of them. You know what I mean? But I love all of them. Does that make sense?
Dude, I see it all the time. When I first started coming back and filming wrestling, it took me a while to really grasp the way wrestlers and the wrestling business works now, because it works totally different.
It does
than it did when I was broke in. But you can't stop it. One of y'all said it earlier. We can't go backwards. You can't go backwards. All we can do is go forward. So we got to figure out a way to marry both the old school with the new school. We got to figure out a way to blend it. And Do or Die Podcast is right here with us. He said, it's an even trade. Old school guys should learn how to blend with the new school guys, and new school guys shouldn't get upset when old school guys get old school. Respect both crafts. And I think that's a great statement. That's the thing I feel like we need to do. I feel like we all need to respect each other. I feel like if we vets and the young guys, if we show each other the right respect, and here's the thing, coming from my perspective, that seems to be the biggest issue a lot of times coming from the vets, is they feel like the younger guys don't respect them or the business the way they should. And we've got to find that common ground between us all. It's for the betterment of professional wrestling. If we don't, I mean, it's only going to get worse. Eventually, Jason, 10 years from now, you'll be in Johnny's spot, and we'll have somebody else over here in your spot right now. And more than likely, here's something I figured out through wrestling. Every generation has a problem with, every older generation has some issue with the new generation. I had the same issue when I was brought in. I did not like a lot of the old ways and the way things were done.
Me either.
But it's part of the business, man.
Yep.
It's part of the business. You've got to play the game the way it's designed to be played. You play on the field you're on.
Like I had to learn this. Everybody learned different, and Hellraiser, you're gonna agree with me. If you got in a match like when I worked Chuck Swan and he messed up a few things, right? Back in the days, they would beat you up right then, there. That's it. But once you get older like me, right, and I got kids, all my kids are grown, right? And I got my oldest son is 27, and then my other son is 22. The way that I raised him and talked to my older son, and I could be hard on him, and he'll get it and he'll learn. But if I scream at my 22-year-old, he'll put a block up, and he just won't get it because he couldn't learn like that, right? So that's why I tell guys now, don't beat them up. When you get to the back, you just talk to them and try to explain. But now you do got some of these young guys that think that you can't tell them nothing. They already know. And it don't work like that. I was always told, even if you know, shut up and say, yes, sir.
Right. And that's kind of how I was too, man. And I was hard-headed. I mean, really, I was hard-headed when I first broke into business, man.
Me too.
It took me a little while to realize how to play this game, man, because there was a lot of things. Here's something I did not believe in when I first came into business: the wrestler handshake. I believe in it when you first meet somebody, but if we're working together every night of the week, when I walk in the dressing room, I felt like it becomes redundant to have to shake everybody's hand every night. When you can walk in, you all know each other. It's like, what's up, guys? I felt like that should be enough. But that ain't the way the business goes. That handshake means a lot. That handshake shows respect. And I learned to do it, and I hated it. I ain't gonna lie. That was probably my biggest pet peeve, was having to shake everybody's fucking hand every night of the week. It's like, not only did we shake hands, we might even rode to the show together, or we might have been out eating somewhere the night before, or at a bar or something. But yet we got to shake each other's hand every motherfucking time we walk in the dressing room. I hated it, man. I hated it, but it's just the way the business is. It's just as simple as that. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next topic. And I'm glad, you mentioned Adrian Street earlier, and this is a perfect segue from Adrian. Character development and maintaining your gimmick. Okay, here's the thing. I'm like Johnny. Nobody will you'll never ever get another Adrian Street. You'll get a ton of imitators, but you'll never get a guy who does that to the perfection that Adrian Street did it to. And it's like Johnny said. Here's one thing I feel like Adrian, he was a badass, so he could go out there and be confident about flitting around and flirting around and blowing kisses, because he knew that if a fan wanted to try him, he could kick their ass. And most of the time, any guy he was in the ring with, he could tie up in a knot if he wanted to. So, Johnny, I'm going to let you start this one. Character development and maintaining your gimmick. Old school ways versus new school.
Well, I know I caught a lot of heat for coming up with the Kang superstar Johnny Dotson, right? And that was the whole purpose of me doing it. You take the two top guys in this industry in the Mid-South area, and I put their name on me, it's going to offend a lot of people. But what I did not do is steal their gimmick. Does that make sense? Like, you don't see me coming and dropping a strap. You don't see me doing Bill's butt shaking. You know what I mean? The whole purpose of that was to develop my own gimmick. If you would look at me, really, I live what I act like. I really drive the Mercedes. I really wear the real Cartier watches. I live the gimmick. And so you said something earlier. You said, your gimmick is really a part of you. You just multiply times 1,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then here's the thing. When I first started, I was the new era Johnny Dotson. People in the city of Memphis really know who I am. Based on the mere fact I played basketball and I used to be a street thug. I did a lot of illegal stuff back in the days, right? So people in the city really know who I am, right? So that was the persona that I used to have my hat rocking because everybody knew what I was, right? And so I just magnified that time 10 on TV. But then after a while, you can't be 40 years old still trying to be a gangbanger wearing a baseball cap, turned to the side. That's not believable.
Right.
Everything has to evolve if you want to do it. That's why I tell people, if you look at the Incredible Hulk Hogan, right? You remember he started off as the Incredible Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Then he went to the Immortal Hulk Hogan, right? Then he jumped from the yellow and red to Hollywood Hogan. And he got over even more as a heel. You just got to find your niche and stick to it and protect your gimmick. You know what I mean? If you don't believe, nobody else will believe.
Right.
I am a butthole. Is it believable? It's believable.
It's because it's true half the time. Shit, man. So
But
look,
guess what?
Jason.
The definition of a butthole, and I'm really not a butthole. In real life, I'm really not. But what I am in wrestling and in real life is truthful. And everybody can't handle the truth. You can go ahead, Jason.
Jason, this is a perfect question for you because I've watched you, man. Even when you're Jason Genesis, revel in my greatness, man, you really, really delve into your character. You and Trace are the initiative. You really, really delve into that character. Talk to us about character development and then maintaining those characters once you kind of develop something.
Well, for me, like I've already had several different gimmicks of like evolution of like kind of referring to like the Book of Genesis Jason, the Rebel Jason, the Initiative Jason, PUV Jason, shout out Perky, I see him in the chat. Just different parts of my career that I'm trying to always find a place to get in where I can fit in. So, I mean, PUB with Perky was kind of born out of, they didn't have anything for me going on at USA at the time. So I was trying to find some way to be more useful, to market myself and, you know, squeeze into that. Once I became what I call Rebel Jason, which I guess was like my big singles run around EPW and Premier Pro, that was just breaking in the goddess, and that had a big part to do with it. And you know, I do have a hot wife, and it does give me some confidence. So that, you know, I turn that on when I'm performing as Rebel Jason or Initiative Jason, when she's with us. But I do kind of, like you hear me talking about it, like different sections of my gimmick, different parts of my career.
Right.
But they are all still me turned up when I'm feeling particularly confident.
Right. And I'm going to give y'all a good example. Johnny mentioned Hulk Hogan. I think one of the greatest examples of reinventing yourself and always evolving up until the last couple of years, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is a guy who's over 25 years, man. He started as one thing, changed into something else, evolved to the dude who wore the suits and stuff. I've loved Chris Jericho and everything he's done up until the modern Jericho of what we see now. He's a prime example of, that's why he's been such a star and such a draw for 30 years, is because he constantly evolved and reinvented his character and who he was.
And you have to do that. Even the Undertaker did it in WWE. You know what I mean? You have to do that, and you got to do what works for you. Like what's the kid name? I had a conversation with Luke Justice. I love Luke Justice, and I told him, I was like, dude, you change your gimmick every year.
Every 2 weeks. What do you mean every year?
You got to do something and stick with it. You got to build it. You got to brand it. You got to put it out there.
And I still go back to believe that if it's going to be successful, there has to be a real part of you in it. Look, when KAW made the switch over to Memphis Championship Wrestling, they wanted me and Ron to go from the Hellraiser and Ruthless Ron McCarty to the mullets, tie-dyed. I just cut all my hair off, too, right before they hit us with this gimmick. So I'm the only flat top having mullet probably in history. But that gimmick's really in me because it was all about 80s rock, glam rock, cut off jeans, Stonewalls, holes in them, rock concert T-shirts. But that really is part of me. I can identify with that guy because I was that guy at one time. At one time, I'm gonna let y'all in on this. When I was young, I was known as the Fat Bon Jovi for a while. You know, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And you can say what you want, but I mean, even the Fat Bon Jovi gets a lot of girls, dude. I'll be honest with you, man. The Fat Bon Jovi was cool with me. I took it as a compliment. But it's just it has to be in you. I believe at least there has to be a tiny bit of what you're portraying, part of your personality, who you really are.
Right. Player Tyrone, right?
I mean, you just said it. You were doing a lot of things at that time that pretty much Player Tyrone almost mirrored what Johnny Dotson was going through and doing at the time. Am I wrong?
No, I was bouncing in the strip clubs, and yeah.
And Jason, here's the thing. I don't know if a lot of other people know this, but your wife, she does music, performs. When you were on, if I remember right, you told me her father performs music, Branson in different places, and that's kind of where she come from. And I know, don't you play the guitar and stuff too?
Yeah, our relationship started out of music. Really, we had a band and everything together, and so bringing that to life in wrestling, like it did help that power couple feeling. Like she adds my confidence a lot for sure.
Right. All right, guys. I think we're gonna move on to the next topic. I mean, this is what wrestling was built on for years and years and years. Everything wrestling was built on kayfabe. All right, guys. Jason, I'm going to let you kick this one off. Kayfabe and its importance, old school to the modern era. Obviously, kayfabe is not as big a deal as it once was, but give us your thoughts on kayfabe, Jason, and the differences you might see in old school methods of kayfabe and the modern era of kayfabe.
I think kayfabe should mostly, it depends on the scale at which you're doing it. I got to be honest. So if you're doing it at the national level and you were like MJF was before he had his little babyface run and kind of threw this whole thing, when he was that super believable heel at that level, I really respected that. And that was great. But for the most of us that are in this smaller area and we all kind of bounce back and forth with these little companies that are hours away from each other, it's a lot harder to maintain that, especially that heel babyface line. And because of that, I feel like the kayfabe within a certain building or promotion, especially if you're there on a regular basis, that's the kayfabe that you need to adhere to while you're in that building. But as far as being online and stuff, I mean, somewhere be within your realm of yourself, but where you can peel the curtain back really as far as we are right now. It's up to each individual.
I'll be honest with you. I think wrestlers ought to have separate accounts, social media accounts. I think you ought to have a wrestler. Honestly, I'm from the train of thought that if you're a pro wrestler, I don't think you should even have a personal social media account. If that's who you are and you're out here, it ain't what it used to be. Like Jason said, it ain't Memphis TV ain't the biggest thing for 500-mile radius, 600-mile radius where every Saturday morning these people are seeing you, growing up to you, where they believe that over time, they believe that's who you really are. You know, even though it's a work, they still believe they believe Jerry Lawler's Jerry Lawler. They believe Bill Dundee's Bill Dundee. And I can see where it's hard in the modern era of kayfabe, but I do believe the one thing I would do if I was active, I would probably have a wrestler account and probably not have a personal account. That's just me personally. Here's the thing about that. You build an image period, in the wrestling community to the fans, and then you go on social media on your personal account and you go against that image. Say you're telling what happened between your old lady and y'all are getting divorced and she cheated on you.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that I think wrestlers ought to keep to themselves. because what it does, it blows your whole persona to any fans out there. They don't believe wrestling's real, but what's the old Terry Funk saying? They can believe I'm real. You know, and I just feel that way about it. I feel like social media has been hard on, it's really put a hurt on kayfabe badly in wrestling. Johnny, I know you're an old school guy. Give me your thoughts on kayfabe from then till now, dude.
I just hate that these younger guys won't have the opportunity to truly do TV the way TV was back in the days, right? And this is no knock. I've had CW30 and all that stuff too. People just not watching local TV. I'm just going to throw it out there. People are not watching local TV like they used to. If you didn't watch Saturday morning wrestling on Channel 5 back in the days and you missed it that Saturday, there was no way you could go back and rewatch it. That's why you got up early that morning to make sure you catch it, right?
Or you had a VCR, and a lot of people back then didn't even have VCRs. So
that's so it's just different. So because back in the days when people saw you on TV, they automatically equipped you as being a star. You know, like and I get a lot of people hate my guts, but if you're gonna be on social media, use social media to advertise or be a commercial for your brand, which is you.
right.
Nobody can promote you like you can promote you. All right. I told somebody today, I got promoters from Alabama, Florida, North Carolina. I'm going to wrestle the Cauliflower Alley Club in August. All because of what I do on social media. And then for the guys, the few people in the world, Jason, only a little few, that don't know who I am, once they watch my live, guess what they do? Dudes say, hey man, I went on YouTube and I Googled you. Dude, you've been doing this a long time. I watched a lot of your matches, dude. Hey, that's how I got booked. Use social media and use social media to promote who you are. Don't promote, like I'm like Buster, don't promote your family issues and your financial problems and your financial lows. That takes away from you as a star.
No, I 100% agree with that. Don't, even if you're not in wrestling, don't put that crap out there. Nobody wants to.
Dude, that's why I always, don't you know, I keep a stack of money just so I can show on social media, to show everybody I really live what I live. And I go put it back in my safe.
Oh, you had to break out the money, didn't you, Johnny? You come prepared, didn't you, man?
I'm the king superstar, baby.
Jason, you got 5 minutes. Get the gear on. Get your girl with you. I want to see you and the goddess, man. We got the king superstar, man.
Yeah, it's past her bedtime.
So look, Leon's with us. He says, I still believe in kayfabe. I stay the same wherever I go. Ask Johnny Dotson. I stay the same wherever I go, not same.
Right.
John Michael Everett's back with us. Says back in the day, it was also hard with kayfabe because what people saw us as on all the different TV shows we were on. When they saw us in real life, they thought that's who we really were, good or bad, and that's the truth.
Sure did, John Michaels.
That's the truth, and social media exposes that nowadays. It exposes that. He says, but it was fun living it.
I got a question. Buster, is it fair to say that everybody thought wrestlers was rich?
Dude, I'm glad you said it. Look, very first time I was on USWA TV doing a job. I didn't do nothing but get my ass kicked. The minute I got back to my hometown, everybody looked at me different. Like I was, they could have just seen me yesterday and talked to me, and they looked at me different. And man, you must be making a lot of money. And back then, you couldn't tell them, no, man. I didn't get paid for that shit, man. No, but I call it TV rich. They see you on TV, and if they see anybody on TV, they think you're rich. Especially at that time. It blowed me away, man. I couldn't believe that, dude. I'm talking about people that's known me my whole life. One shot on USWA TV, and they looked at me different from that point on.
Plus, you was getting 100,000 views and 50,000 views on a Saturday morning. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, Hellraiser. TV now is not that. I can remember when I was on Memphis TV, I couldn't go to the restaurant. I couldn't go to the store without taking pictures.
Right.
But ain't nobody going in the store now asking, oh, they're not doing it. I get a few people every now and then, but for the most part, and that's just really because of Facebook.
Right.
So that's why when I listen to guys talk about TV, when you walk in Walmart, nobody's asking you for a picture.
So that's a good question, Jason, for you, because you have been the top guy look, for me, EPW is actually my favorite TV wrestling product right now.
Mine too.
That's just the way it is. I believe it's the best TV product we have around our area. You've been that top guy. So what is how did people perceive you? Because one thing about EPW, they actually do have real TV still in certain places. It's not just YouTube and Facebook. So talk to us about that, Jason. What was your experiences being on TV? Did people look at you different? Did they seem to notice you more?
In daily life, when I'm going to Walmart and stuff like that? No.
Well, I know you probably keep a low profile when you go out anyway, but
yeah. No, I mean, amongst the wrestling community and things like that, it definitely was a big part of like my leveling up process to where I am now. But I mean, as far as like my day-to-day living, it didn't make any difference.
Okay. Guys, we're gonna move on to the next topic. Okay, here's a good one right here. We've kind of broached on this through the whole podcast. Fan interaction and engagement. Old school versus new school. I know there's old school ways of doing things have been upgraded, and some of them's been completely done away with. I don't remember who went first last. I think Jason did. Am I right?
No, I went first. I'll let Jason handle this one first.
Okay, Jason, this is on you. Fan interaction and fan engagement. Okay, I know you're big on this, so.
Are we talking about at the arena? We're not talking about social media.
No, we're talking about in the arena, okay. drawing these fans into what you're doing and stuff, getting them engaged.
Okay, so if you're talking about like match structure and things like that, as far as we always talking about working on the fly, they don't like what we're doing, we got to be able to change it. But if you're doing what you have planned out well enough, they're gonna like it. But they don't know what's in your mind. So as long as you have your plan and you're a good enough worker to be able to get there. That's what I'm saying as far as that goes. As far as in engagement, like we're talking about like entrances and things like that, because that is we're definitely in the crowd participation era of entrances, and I am a fan of stuff like that.
And here's the thing, like we were talking about signature moves and finishers, getting a move over and then being able to use that move. So here's the thing, once you're over, that fan interaction, once you're over with those fans, whether they hate you or they love you, the minute your music hits, fans start reacting if you're over with them. And that means they're engaged already. They're paying attention. They're going to pay attention to you and what you're doing when you come out. They're not going to be looking here or there or looking back here somewhere while your match is going on because they're invested in you. Johnny, what's your thoughts? And I know you have a lot of fan engagement and interaction on shows you go on. So talk to me about that, man.
So I'm going to use you've been at both. You've seen both. In Missouri, I'm a good guy. In Tennessee, most places, I'm a bad guy, right? So let me go ahead and deal with that. I heard Jet Hero make the statement. I think it was night before last. He said that he don't like the cheap heat guys talking about the fans and this and that. If that's your gimmick, is to present yourself as being better than them or making more money than them, that's what you do, right? For example, before I even come out, once my music hit and I walk out, I really don't have to say anything. They're going to boo me. if they hate me. So now what I do is I get them involved. I get them in their emotions. I get them in their feelings. I try to talk about things that most people don't like to talk about, like the food stamps, the welfare, the Section 8, right? You got to make them take it personal. Does that make sense? So like when I went to Wynn, Arkansas, because most of the people that loves wrestling are on our Facebook pages. So when I'm talking bad about people on my Facebook pages, and I know they're watching, when I went to Wynn, I went live. And I talked about them live. When I walked in the building, they started booing with my bag. I'm rolling in. People started walking up behind me. So I broke out my phone. You got to live the gimmick, and you got to have that fan interaction. Jason Jennings, another learning point. Heat is heat. Heat is heat. A lot of people don't understand. Sometimes people don't even remember what you did in your matches, but they'll remember what you said. So that's why, if you will notice, Memphis TV was only a commercial for Monday night at the Coliseum. Jerry Law and them talked the people into the building. And that's what fan interaction is for me. Because I get in that call them kind of deer riding rednecks, stinking hillbillies and everything. But then when I'm in Missouri, I don't even have to say really nothing. All I got to do is come out. And the people going to go crazy every time.
Jason, you got anything you want to add to this?
I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't do cheat heat. We call it cheat heat because it's easy. It's like you said all those things. When I'm training guys and I'm like talking about spacing and how we would go around the ring and things like that, that's the stuff that I say to the make believe crowd. I'll turn around like welfare, food stamps, blah blah, and then I'll turn back around like you should have sold somewhere or did something out of it. Like it's so cliche at this point. I'm not saying I've never done it, but I wouldn't brag about being a master of cheat sheet.
See,
hold on. Here's something, because me and Jet Hero talked about that on the podcast, and I'm not a big fan of Cheap Heat either, but here's the difference. When these people are already invested in you to the point before you come out the curtain, the minute they hear your music, they're already getting ready to throw shit at you or curse you, or if you're a baby face, come up and want to shake your hand. Those people are already invested in you. It ain't quite the same as going out and you're not having no heat whatsoever, and you decide your match ain't getting no heat, whatever you're doing ain't working. You decide, well, I'm gonna get a reaction one way or another and go out here and start jawing with a fan. That's what I consider cheap heat. Most Bill Dundee told me I don't get my heat off of jawing with the fans. I get my heat off of what I do in the ring and what I do to my opponent. And I believe that 100%. Here's the thing. Once they're already invested in you, and when you come out, if they hate you and they're already at the dressing room just jawing at you, well, obviously you're going to interact with them. You'd be stupid not to. You're going to interact with them. That's what they want. That's what they're there for. I don't really consider that. If you've already got heat the right way, that it ain't cheap heat no more. It's cheap heat when what you're doing in the ring is not working and you resort to just jawing with fans to get a reaction out of the crowd because you couldn't get a reaction in the ring. That's what I consider cheap heat.
Exactly. So that's why I wanted to make sure I told Jet Hero that. And I don't mind telling everybody publicly. I told him that. I said, because at the end of the day, the same people that's at these wrestling shows are watching these lives. Watch them. So when you come out, especially in Dyer, they anticipate me to come out to argue with them. That's what they're looking for. They're paying their money so I can come out and get to argue with somebody. And I give them what they want.
So look, before we get to the next topic, here, this is a question for you, Johnny.
Come on.
And this is Chuck Swan. This is Jason's guy. He said, question for Johnny. If you can give one bit of advice, if you give one bit of advice, if someone is feeling stuck and really wants to level up in the business, I've talked to Jason, but I'm curious what your thoughts are, Johnny, your insights. If a guy feels like he's stagnant and he feels like he needs to do something to jump it to the next level, man, what would be your advice?
Go wrestle other places. 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 Go Go wrestle other places. Because when you wrestle the same guys over and over again, it's going to become redundant, and it's just so much that they can show you. You have to go other places. You have to travel and go other places to really test to see where you are. I'm this guy. Even though I'm the best wrestler in the Mid-South, there's no one above me. I'm the top of the food chain, right? If I really want to be tested, that's why I'm going to Vegas. For Jason Genesis, since you said the match was born between me and Tony Gunn, I wrestled Tony Gunn. That's my first time wrestling him. You know he's the former OVW heavyweight champion, right?
I didn't say that the match was boring. I was mostly getting under your selling.
Oh, okay. Good. But guess what? After that match, they asked me to come to OVW. And I'm 47. Right? So the reason why, and I gotta give Tony Gunn his credit. He came in the back, he said, Johnny, because I've been knowing Tony since he first started. He said, what do you want to do? You know what I did? I said, man, you've been around long enough now. You tell me what you want to do. He's like you. He had a whole script of what we're gonna do. Everything that you did, everything we did, and I hadn't did that in years. I had to remember, right? And that's why I tell people sometimes if you're so focused on that, you lose the organic aspect of wrestling because you're so focused on not trying to forget all of those spots. That match was 22 minutes. That's a long time.
Jason, what's your since we're talking about it, what's your critique of this match, man? I mean, at the opening, you said it was boring. So, what do you think could have been better in the match, man?
Yes.
My big thing on Johnny is his selling. He does not sell like Ricky Morton. He looks up at the lights most of the time. There was like one spot when Tony Gunn stepped on his stomach and he finally sat up and the people could see his face. I was like, there you go. He made him sell to the people. That's one my big critique on Johnny's baby person. He doesn't sell to people. He looks up at the lights.
Johnny, to pull the curtain back a little more, me and you actually had that conversation, a little bit of it. So, I mean, Jason's got an avid point. What's the one thing when I talked to you, when I seen the match, what's the one thing that I thought you needed to improve?
You told me I should have sold more to the people more.
And fire up a little more when you did fire up.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that me and Johnny had that conversation, man.
Can I be honest though?
Go.
I was blowed up.
I don't doubt that, man. I don't doubt that.
But I was sucking with. That's 22 minutes. I thought they was joking.
22 minutes is a long time, especially at 47, man.
At 47?
I knew you were. And I'm a tag specialist now, so I can't talk anything.
Yeah. But I'm just wondering who they're gonna have me get, because I'm looking forward to wrestling in Vegas for this reunion show, the Cauliflower Alley Club. And I show a little of me right now. I would have loved, me and Ricky Kennedy are talking about getting vans and driving some guys with us when I go wrestle in Florida, Alabama, and North Carolina, to get guys from around here to see how other people do things.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So look, I'm gonna go back 1 second. Apparently, Leon, and this is the one issue I have with Leon. That motherfucker says, you kids don't know shit, ain't it past y'all's bedtime? No matter what, this motherfucker's always got to say something. Leon is a professional shit stirrer, man.
But I'm gonna tell you this about Leon, and I said this on my live the other day. I love the kid's drive, his determination, and the way that he hustles. You can't take that from him. He's gonna hustle. He's gonna try to do what he can do, and for that you can't knock anybody. You just need to learn to listen. That's about it. And that's most young people though.
And I agree with Johnny on that. I agree with Johnny. Here's the thing. He's still emotional at times when it comes to wrestling. People get under his skin. He reacts a lot of times, I believe, without fully thinking the thing
Emotions.
through. And I agree with you. Leon's a hustler, man. Can't nobody deny that Leon wanted to do something, went out and started it, and is doing it. Jason, Leon's kind of been throwing barbs at you too, man. Or we might see is there any chance we see a Jet Hero versus Jason Genesis match anywhere down the line?
I think Johnny and Jet Hero would both be so blown up by the time they got to the bat.
What he say?
He said your ass would be blowed up. You and Jet Hero both by the time if you made it to the back.
I don't know. I don't know if he noticed this or not, Jason. I've been in the gym, Buster. You see how much weight I've lost?
I know you put on some definition and some size around your shoulders and arms. I've noticed that.
Trust me, I will be ready. I'm looking forward to wrestling you. I got my list of young guys I want to work with.
Get that Stairmaster, brother.
I'm ready. I'm back shooting basketball and everything. I'm ready. Let's get it.
Hey, that's one thing about Jason I can say. That mug can get in the fucking ring and go for 20, 25 minutes at a pretty steady pace going. You can't deny Jason's cardio whatsoever. Look, we done jumped on Leon, and apparently that comment wasn't even for us. Leon, we sorry, man. We sorry, dude. Just erase that from your memory. If I had that little Men in Black pen that makes you forget, I'd blink that motherfucker right now, man.
But I do think Jason Genesis is a little scared of me, though.
Are we building a match right here?
No, I'm just saying, like a lot of the young guys, they avoid me. They avoid me at all costs.
No, I'm not avoiding you. It just hadn't happened. It hadn't enticed me either.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Johnny, it sounds like you got some work to do, man.
Well, I told him I'll come down to Middleton. I'll come to Greater Washington.
You gonna work, baby?
Damn.
I don't know if I need that.
No, you don't need that. Well, no, I could, because I went to Middleton High School.
This is not for public discussion. DM me. We can talk about it.
I went to Middleton High School.
All right, guys. Look, we're 2 hours and 6 minutes in. We still got a few topics to get on. Let's get on board and let's get this thing rolling. Next topic: training and talent development. The difference in old school training and talent development compared to the new school of training and talent development. I don't remember who went first anymore, so y'all figure it out. Oh.
Well, I'm going to say this. A lot of the young guys I see guys working the wrong side. I see guys getting up wrong. I see a lot of wrong stuff. A lot of placements that's wrong, everything. And there's a reason why we develop placement, like just getting up off the mat. You know, like you was talking not to put your hand down because somebody could step on your hand, supposed to ball your fists up to get up, right? All that kind of stuff. You really don't see that. The way the guys hit the ropes, they don't hit the ropes right. So if the rope breaks, a lot of these guys would be dead if the rope breaks. Just little small stuff that I see. Now, I got to give Jason this. He probably can teach the guys the basic rolls, bumps, stuff like that, but other stuff I don't think he's qualified to do.
And before Jason rebuttals on that, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a guy who has broken ropes the minimum of three times in the ring. One time when I first started training, and if I hadn't have been taught how to properly hit the ropes and handle them, man, I would have broke my neck because I would have went straight out on the fairgrounds floor on that concrete and broke my damn neck. It's dangerous in there, and you don't never know when a rope's going to break or the turnbuckle's going to jerk out of the post. You hit it hard enough. There's a lot of little fine points to training. Jason, and this is the 100% truth, you are one of the only guys out here right now that actually have students out here actually working the circuit, and they're good. Here's the thing. They're green as shit, no doubt about it, but every one of them are already pretty good, and if they open their ears and listen and learn, all these guys are going to be, in the next couple of years, I see all of them moving right up the circuit around here, dude. So talk to us about training and talent development, Jason, because I know you're big into that with your guys too. You don't just get in the ring with them and teach them to wrestle. You kind of work with them and help them develop things about their characters and move sets and stuff. So talk to us about that.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, a part of the whole training aspect. You can't just get in there. Here's how you lock up and headlock. Okay, go wrestle because they're going to be awful. You have to develop some character work and things like that along with it. I do train differently in the sense that if I try to train on what you're actually doing in the ring as opposed to doing a lot of the old school cardio drills and stuff like that. I always find that kind of stuff. It's kind of funny because they make up all the young guys do all this extra cardio they could never do now. Isn't realistic what we actually do in the ring. It's really hard to actually replicate in ring cardio. So like I avoid all that kind of stuff. But as far as teaching like the fundamentals and things like that, I feel like I do a pretty good job. I got a pretty good track record, like you said. I appreciate you mentioning all my guys, Buster.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I see a lot of guys, a lot of young guys, and I mean, and this all stemmed from before you, when you decided you were going to open a dojo. You know, this is, and we're going. This is kind of leads into the next topic. That's where you and Johnny kind of first started interacting, because you put out about opening a dojo and training guys, and Johnny jumped right in there on it, man. You ain't been in the business long enough to be training nobody. So that takes us to our next topic, is trainers and the qualifications that make them credible. Modern versus, and let's take old school versus new school, because I don't think that matters in this question. Professional wrestling training, I'm sure it's different now than it was back in the day, but it's still about the exact same thing. So it's not really an old school or a new school thing. And y'all go, man. Whoever wants to start, go. Trainers and qualification. What makes you qualify to be a trainer of professional wrestlers?
I think what makes you a qualified trainer is that you done been through it all. You know what I mean? You done experienced it all. You done seen it all, right? I think that makes you, and then you know the fundamentals of professional wrestling. You know the aspects of it. You know the in-ring work, the outer ring work of it, the whole nine, right? So here's the thing that people don't understand: when you get ready to go and try to go and get a major deal, the first thing they're gonna ask, who trained you? The reason why they ask that question is because they want to see if you came from a credible trainer. I talked to one today, Mr. Curtis Hughes. So Curtis Hughes is going to send some of his guys down here to work with me to help make our rosters a little different. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to see a show with the same people on all the time, right? So Curtis Hughes is going to send some of his guys. And people don't give Curtis Hughes his props. Right. Curtis Hughes has produced more WWE superstars than any other wrestling school. TNA2, Moose, Apollo Crews, Heath Slater, all those guys came from Curtis Hughes. So I will say this to Jason, because I think I was a little hard on you, before I, had a conversation with you. I do see the love and the passion that you have for the guys and wanting them to develop. Another thing that I do respect is that you do allow them to go wrestle other places. They go wrestle where they want. You got so many guys, like there's a trainer in Memphis. Well, I'm going to say Memphis, but yeah. There's a trainer, he only been wrestling a year. And he's training. A year. Now, I'm not going to say you're great, Jason. I ain't saying you're great at all. But you can hold your own in the ring. I'll say that. This guy should be still in training himself, trying to train somebody. And that's what makes this industry a joke. Because you have Redneck Romeo that got a ring set up in his backyard, and he get Mud Puddle Billy to come and work with him, and they work out. And now he's trained. And guess what? Promoters book him. I just still think there should be some form of some decorum, some kind of way to keep certain people's out. You know what I mean? That's just me. I see Buster done disappeared.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what happened. You're the host.
So what are your thoughts?
There we go. There we go. Hold on. I don't know what's going on with my picture. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully the picture will come back up. I don't understand what the hell's happening with it. I don't have no clue. Hopefully, we're gonna go on to the next topic. Well, no, Jason, you gotta. Excuse me, Jason. What's your thoughts on trainers and that make you a credible trainer, man?
Well, I think you should get what you pay for. Like, we all probably know Undertaker's story about getting screwed first time by, I think it was Buzz Sawyer. He was trying to get trained and just took his money and just ditched him. And like that, you can. What I'm trying to get at is what I do is I don't put myself over as like you're going to Seth Rollins school or some of these or Booker T school out in Texas or anything like that. You pay very little money to get trained by me, and I tell you I can open the doors to what we have in this little area once you're ready. But I don't promise anything more than that because I haven't done that, and I don't pretend to have keys to open that. But within the area, there are definitely people that are willing to train you that could do a lot worse than me.
So
I give you that one.
so let me hit both of you guys with this. At the end of the day, I think guys need to be in the business a certain amount, and for me, the time ain't quite as important as the experience, the level of experience they've had in the business and training. But at the end of the day, is it about, should we look at the products they produce and let that be the deciding factor over should a guy have trained another guy or not? Johnny, I'm gonna throw that to you first because at the end of the day, it's about the product that trainer produces. It's about the wrestlers he produces, and if you produce good wrestlers, respectful wrestlers, got good fundamentals, does it matter how long you've actually been in the business at that point?
I don't think so. I would go that far because a lot of guys who I'm gonna tell you, like Ricky Kennedy. Ricky Kennedy is a phenomenal trainer. You know what I mean? Like V Man and Charlie Parks, the late Charlie Parks. They trained a lot of guys, and they don't get a lot of credit, but they really trained them well. You got to look at Big Ace and MJ Davis, and see, a lot of people don't even know, like Mackenzie Morgan, Ray Sanders. Those people didn't just get trained at Memphis Wrestling. They didn't cut their teeth. You know, they went there later on, but they was really started training at RSWF. Now, what Alan Steele did, Alan Steele took them and built the fundamentals and molded them. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I even look at it like, that's why I say there's levels to it. Like with Jason Genesis, like some of his guys, you know, because in everything you got your beginning, you got your intermediate, you got your advanced, and I think all the guys would develop if they were to look at it from that perspective. Just because you did the beginning doesn't mean that you fully trained and you really know what you're doing. You need to go to some more other steps to get to the next level. That's what I say.
Jason, what's your thought? Should the end product, the end result, play a factor in whether you are qualified to train somebody? Should it be just as much about the wrestlers you produce as it is your credentials in the wrestling business? Let me say it like that.
Well, for me personally, I would hope so because I have a pretty good track record with my first four guys.
Who are your first four guys? I know Marco. Who's the first four?
Rip Ravage, Chuck Swan, Race Richards, who was Rookie of the Year and Mid-South Wrestling Awards, and then Marco.
Mid-South Wrestling Awards don't matter.
But at the end of the day, I've seen every one of these guys. I hadn't seen Rip Ravage live. I've watched Chuck Swan live, Race Richards live, obviously Marco live, and I mean, these are guys that are out here on the circuit already. It didn't take them 2 years to get in the business. Jason got them in there, and I'll be honest with you, all of them, every single one of those guys. I mean, Marco's already reaching his potential. Marco is climbing, but Race Richards, he's a guy that has tons of potential. He's a big guy too. He's lanky, but he's tall. This is a guy who could probably end up being 240 pounds in another 5 or 6 years. Chuck Swan. Only thing wrong with Chuck Swan with me is I need him to be a heel. I need him to be a heel. I think that would accentuate everything that he does. And like I said, Rip Ravage, I hadn't seen him live, but I've watched him on tape. And this is a kid, Rip Ravage is a kid that I feel like has a ton of potential because he's a white meat baby face. He's a good looking kid. He takes care of himself. I mean, he's a girl magnet. I told him on the podcast back in the day, the promoters wouldn't have let him bring his old lady to the show. They wouldn't have wanted any girl to know he had a wife or a girlfriend because that dude can sell tickets.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you something. This is why your guys get what they get, right? And I tell anybody, when you look at the guys you train, they look like wrestlers. They have gear, right? So they look better than everybody else around here. This is no knock on everybody else, but I'm just saying you got to look the part, and they look the part. The Rip Ravage kid, never met him a day in my life, but he hit me in my inbox all the time, asking me to critique his stuff all the time. And me, and I don't know, I normally don't even put stuff out here. Most of the guys in this area, even though a lot of people might not know it, I talk to everybody. Everybody hits me in my inbox. Everybody asking me what I think. And for that, I'm grateful. And I get a lot of time I can't expose that they talk to me because I don't want to get them heat with other people. Does that make sense? Which is sad because they know I can help them go places. But, that's neither here nor there.
And here's something, I want to throw this out there. One of the reasons Jason's guys look professional, they have good gear, is because that's a big part of him. Jason always makes sure he's one of the most professional looking guys out there. His gear.
I just told somebody the other day, Hellraiser, I said the only reason why Jason Jennings is in the position he is in all these other places is because how he looks. He's a white guy that looks good. His gear always look nice. He got a girlfriend that looks good. He got a wife, that look good. I said, that's it. There's nothing else. He don't look like he coming out the trailer. And I'm not knocking, this is real. He don't look like he comes out of the trailer park. And when he speaks, he don't sound like he's an idiot.
Have you watched Jason wrestle? Have you watched any of his full matches or anything?
I have.
What's your thoughts?
I know you can tell he's been wrestling 5 years.
But forget that. What's your thoughts as a whole on Jason Genesis?
It's not bad. He's not the worst around here.
And this is my personal opinion, man. He's nowhere close to the worst around here. Jason Genesis, I mean, he held the EPW title for as long as he did for a reason. Look, I've watched him live and up close a lot of times, and here's the key. You can watch some guys and you see them work the same few guys over and over.
Right.
Let me throw this out there. Motley Cruz and the Black Stallion, Odell Buckingham. When I broke into business, every show we went to, these guys worked each other and had been for years and years. They could go out there, the best match on the show, every card, no matter what, without even talking. But I've watched Jason work so many different opponents with so many different styles. I can't deny his talent in the wrestling ring. I'm going to lay it out there like that. I think if you go watch him live, Johnny, I think it might be a difference if you see him.
I'm not going to be able to judge that until we actually physically lock up. Let's be honest. Let's be real. You can tell a lot from the initial lockup.
Yep, you can tell the minute you touch whether it's going to be good or whether it's going to be bad right there. There ain't no doubt about that. And look, let me go back to Bulldog. He put in a comment up here. He said, I think training qualifications should be a mix of wrestling knowledge, experience, and success in the business.
That's good.
Okay, I agree with that. And here's the fact. Jason may have only been in the business 5 years, but he's been at the top of this area for 2.5, 3. I mean, really. And here's the thing. We can't judge this era to the heyday, the glory days of Memphis wrestling because it's not the same. You can't compare the two. But for our era and what wrestling is right now, you can't deny that Jason Genesis has been one of the top guys around our area for 3 years.
See, Buster, see, when you say that, you're going to make me ask. So, where do you put him? Why do you rank him?
Okay, here's the thing. Before we had a podcast and he told me he had no goals to get to the WWE, I actually had him up higher on the list than I do now, only because I really like like Marco. I'd love to see Marco get that deal. I'd love to see any of these young guys that's got potential. There's so many. Jason is right up there. Him and Marco could be running neck and neck if Jason wanted that opportunity, I believe. Here's the thing. He could run neck and neck with Marco right now. What happens when he gets that offer? Then he's got the problem of, man, it's hard to turn that offer down even if you don't want it. The money, it's hard to turn money down even if you don't want it. So that kind of pulled Jason out of that kind of ranking for me whatsoever. But around this area, yes, he is absolutely one of the top guys. Looks, talent, professionalism. He's absolutely one of the top guys around our area. I don't think there's any question of that. What do you think, Johnny? Spit it out. You got something to say, man. Say it, dude. That's what we're doing. We're gonna get it all out tonight, man.
Well, it's only a few guys. I think the initiative tag team, I like the initiative tag team. I do. I really do. I really do. It's just a lot of guys, I just feel like, get recognition or get put in spots that they don't deserve. They only get there because they're friends with somebody. Does that make sense?
I mean, and it happens all the time. That's what it's always been like that in the wrestling business, though.
But I guess it wasn't that way for me. Like, I didn't have a friend or an uncle or daddy that was it. I had to really work hard. And I guess that's why I look at it a little different than most people. You know what I mean? Like, man, there's a lot of people out here that sucks. That shouldn't. So Jason, we're agreeing.
Yeah. It
shouldn't be. Come on, man.
There's plenty of people that shouldn't be doing it.
And I say this right now. And I'm going to admit it. I'm 47 years old. My better days are behind me. There is no way that I'm still supposed to be better than a whole lot of guys that's in their 20s.
I agree with that, too. I 100% agree with that. Here's the thing. Obviously, there's no substitute for experience. But at the end of the day, there ought to be a lot of these young guys making you work your ass off in the ring. They ought to be trying to run circles around you. I agree with that whatsoever. I mean, without a doubt, Johnny. Guys, we're going to move on to the next. Jason, you got anything you want to add to this before we move to the next topic? We're just about done, guys.
I was just imagining how fast I would push the match if we were to wrestle.
Now, so Jason, don't let me shock you now.
Here's something, before we move on to the next topic, here's something I want to bring to your attention, Johnny. All right, it's different when a fan says someone's good than a guy who's got an educated eye. I watch wrestlers. Right. I watch all these young guys. Right. And I immediately you can tell guys who are even have a chance or an opportunity or potential, or guys who don't, that ought to really just go on and do something else. And I've watched Jason live, and he has always never failed to impress me every time I've seen him, Johnny. And I know it sounds like I'm sucking Jason's ass, but I feel like he needs to. I feel like people need to realize. I watch wrestlers, and that's part of what I do right here. I really only bring wrestlers on this podcast that I'm interested in talking to. Right. And if you don't do something that interests me or inspires me, I don't have no interest in bringing you on. And I brought Jason. Jason's been on. What have you been on twice? Been on twice already.
Yeah.
Well, he's been on more than me.
No, I don't know about that. Now you've been on twice or three times too. But I feel like Jason deserves his credit, man. I feel like I've got an educated eye when I look at wrestlers, and I feel like when you compare Jason to a ton of these other wrestlers around here,
Right.
I feel like he's head and shoulders above most of them. Just like Still At You at 47, people don't want to say it, but I've been lucky enough recently to get to watch you live. Jason talking about blowed up and stuff, I still feel like you're still refinding your groove out here right now. I feel like we hadn't seen the best of Johnny Dotson yet, right? This era. I feel like you said it, 3 years. You want to be done at 50? I feel like every match you have, you get a little bit better. I feel like your confidence grows some. Your ring win gets better. I mean, I call it as I see it. I can't help but do that, man. I just call it as I see it.
Jason don't want to admit it. Most of the young guys don't want to admit it. But I'm the top heel around this area. It don't get no better than me. And I'm smooth when I do what I do. Call it what it is. That's why I've been great for so long.
All right, Jason, you got anything to add before we move on to the next topic?
Let's move on. It's getting so late.
Right. We ain't got but a couple left. Let me run through these comments. Let's go to the banner. All right, guys. We have got mentorship and the role it plays in helping the next generation of pro wrestlers. I don't care who starts. I don't remember who started first, so y'all work it out between y'all and go.
Mentorship is key. When you have certain people that are willing to take a chance on you. So, I mean, I've been lucky to have a few. The first one I'm going to jump out at is Bert Prentice. He took me under his wing and he set me up in a position. Not so much that he helped me in the ring, but he put me in the ring with people that could help me. And he would bring people in just so I could wrestle them 3 nights in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I would be better when I woke up Sunday morning because Bert took care of me and set that up. So I appreciate that a lot. And if I didn't have that opportunity, I wouldn't be who I am now. I would have sucked a lot longer and it would take me a lot longer to get to where I'm at. So mentorship is absolutely key.
Well, that's a good name because I lived in Memphis, but I wrestled with Bert on Nashville TV in Music City. And because all the girls liked me, he called me Devon Delight. That was my name. So I owe Bert a lot of credit to like helping me learn how to do TV and stuff like that early. So yeah, that's a good one. Mentorship is, and that's what I want to do. I want to be a person to help young guys, not by sugarcoating the game, but by telling them the complete truth, clear and uncut. Because some of this stuff you got to tell them, you can't add no sugar to it. You got to tell them the truth. And sometimes the truth is hard to take. My dad used to always say, some stuff is good for you, but it tastes bad to you. You know what I mean? But that what helps you, in life.
And this is something I want to ask Jason about because you know as well as I do, it wasn't like that when I broke into business. There wasn't no sugarcoating nothing. They would let your ass know immediately if you screwed up or whatever. Is it like that now, Jason? I'm not in the dressing room. I do not know what really goes on. Is it like that, or do you feel like that sometimes guys need to be told in no uncertain terms some things, or do you feel like everybody's too scared of hurting each other's feelings?
I'm going to speak specifically about the MIW locker room for this one because that's the one. If people don't know, I'm the booker there, so I'm kind of in charge of the morale and things there. I'm so happy with what happens at MIW because never on my watch is something. Things go wrong all the time. That's wrestling. But when people come back through, it's not an opportunity to blow up on somebody. I'm not for that. That's not how people learn. People know when they fuck up. So you ain't got to yell at them about what they did. It's just an opportunity to learn. We've created an environment at MIW that is all about learning and growth and getting better together. And so I mean, that's something I can speak about as far as my perspective of what my ideal locker room is. I'm very proud of what going on down there.
See, but now I gotta go. I gotta be the devil advocate right here. But Jason, most of the people probably in your locker room is people that you train, right? No. Or friends of yours, right?
Just Chuck and Marco, but Marco. And here's something I have no problem admitting. Just because I trained Marco, Marco is better than me now. He outgrew me. So when his eyes are as or more educated than mine as far as his tips and advice and things like that.
So what happens when you have a guy who y'all just bring it in and he's not a part of the circle and not part of the clique, and something goes wrong, but in his mind he's great, and somebody tries to correct him, and he blows it off like you ain't saying nothing? What do you do then?
That happened one time, and everybody was safe, and the guy never came back. I don't never have him back again. But that's it. That's that kind of toxic attitude I don't want in the locker room. So we just kick some rocks down the road, and we ain't gonna see you again.
Get your shit and leave, Johnny.
Yeah.
That's the old saying. You want to do it? Get your bag.
That's all they said. You don't want to do it? Oh, go and get your stuff, man.
And there's 100 other dudes waiting right behind you to do exactly what you didn't want to do. All right, guys, this one's a little different. This question is specifically for Jason Genesis, or this topic. It's actually a question. Let's lay it out there. Jason, what is needed from the vets to help the young guys get to the next level and open up the line of communication?
That's a good one.
That is a good one. A little bit more empathy that where the young guys are coming from. It's just a different mindset. I think what I excel at is because I'm a teacher for shoot, and so I talk to kids all day, every day, and I do it in a way that it's just more empathetic, more compassionate than I think a lot of the old heads are. I've never yelled at anybody, and even I've been in matches with plenty of people that have made plenty of mistakes. But it's not something that I'm going to do, is yell at somebody, because people don't respond that way. They don't respond well to that, not anymore. And so, that's the biggest thing that I would suggest for the vets to do. Just work on your tone if you want people to listen to you.
And that goes back. Johnny was talking earlier about that subject about people responding to certain things. And I agree with Jason on the fact that some guys, they need you to cuss them out. So watch football. Watch football coaches. Some of them, they need you to be on. They need a coach that's on their ass, tell them they're a piece of shit, and go get this done and quit half-assing it. They respond. Some guys respond to that. Other guys, it's like that block you were talking about your son. He would just shut it off. Some people do not respond to that. Other people need to be encouraged, and other people shut off when they're being yelled at. They need to be encouraged. I wouldn't call it coddling. I would call it figuring out what your students or what your wrestlers or anything in life needs to motivate them to be better, and use that against them. If they don't respond to yelling and cussing, then try another method and see if they respond to that. Whatever at the end of the day makes them improve themselves, I think whatever works is good. I'm a guy, I respond to both. You can be in my face spitting on me, cussing me out, and you can motivate me. Other times, you need to tell me what I did wrong and why I should have done it a different way. But some people don't. Some people either or, they shut off. All right, Johnny, this one's for you. What do the vets need from the young guys to show they want to learn and open up the lines of communication?
Just have conversations, man. Gotta have conversation. Like I said again, I'm like the secret. All of the wrestlers call me Uncle Johnny. All of the young wrestlers call me Uncle Johnny, and a lot of them, like I said, most of the people I talk to don't even work for me. You know what I mean? They don't even work for me, but I love the business so much, and I want to see everybody make it. And I understand that you have to talk to them. Some of them even talk to me about the promoter. And I said, hey, maybe, you know what I'm saying, got a vision that you don't know about. You know what I mean? Because sometimes a promoter will have a vision for you, and you don't know, and you think they're doing you wrong, but in reality, they're trying to set you up for something else later. And so you just gotta encourage them, man. And don't be so hard on them. It's like I will be hard on them, like on the live. I'll be like, Chuck Swan sucks. He's horrible. But then when I go behind the door, and I done talk to him on in Messenger, he know what I'm doing. So it's just one of those things. You just gotta have that communication, that line of communication, and get to learn the vets. Get to learn them. Talk to them.
All right, Johnny, we lost Jason. He should be back on in just a minute, hopefully. We got one more question that we're going to ask, and it's for both of y'all. If Jason, here he comes. Let's let him pop in. All right, Jason, we got one more question. This is it, and this is for both of you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your hope for the relationship between the old guys and the young guys, and can they find common ground? Jason, it's to you first, man.
Johnny, you go ahead and go first. My headphones.
Okay. First thing we got to do, we got to lead by example. If we can lead by example, and this goes to the vets, we got to lead by example, and just teach them that our doors are always open. Ask Johnny about my arm drags, right? But if we do that, I think then, like I said, spend time with the young guys, see what they're thinking, talk to them, and learn how to agree to disagree. That's the biggest problem we have in the wrestling industry around this area. Nobody is the god of professional wrestling around here. And you got some people want everybody to bow down and say they're this and that. No. Everybody has something to add to the wrestling business in this area. Everybody. And that's my thing. Lead by example as a vet.
Jason, same thing to you, man. What's your hopes for the relationship between the older veterans and the young guys? And can we find common ground between us?
Yeah, we definitely can. I've been saying since my first year that I've always been trying to like the modern and the old school. Just kind of hopefully that comes out of a lot of my matches and a lot of my work. Is I'm looking for that marriage of old school and new school. I really respect what Johnny said about like just open up the lines of communication and things like that. It's definitely the most important thing. It's wrestling. We're going to look at it from different angles, from different perspectives, from different levels of experience and ability, and being able to take a suggestion and being able to apply it or choose not to apply it without everybody getting all butthurt about it. That's
Right.
Yeah.
But I got one more thing we should have touched on too, Buster. We as older vets, we should be ashamed of ourselves for telling kids that they can't go work shows. You're only going to get better working shows. We can't pass on our personal beefs with other people to the young talent. That has nothing to do with them. Nothing.
And it does them a disservice in the end, because young wrestlers need to go out and wrestle as many different people, as many different places, and as many different styles as they can. That right there is what creates a true professional wrestler, being able to get in the ring with anybody and have a match and make it happen. And I feel like it is a disservice when the young guys don't get to go work other places and get around other people, because Jason's got a philosophy about pro wrestling, but that don't mean that they can't come and learn something from Johnny Dotson. That don't mean they can't find the same thing about Johnny. Johnny has a philosophy, but that don't mean guys can't come to Jason and Jason add something there too. There is, I mean, like you said, everybody's got something to offer.
Don't you know the first thing that I did when I had this match with Tony Gunn? I text Jason. I text K-Swiss. I text Izzy Rodden. I text all the people who people now look at as, you know what I mean, a different level. And I told them to watch it and critique my, think about it, I've been doing this almost 30 years, but I'm asking them to critique my match. Because you can learn from anybody. But just because me and Jason don't like anybody, and Jason works up, we don't like each other, and he works at EPW, MIW, he's the booker at MIW, and Bullwhip works with me and we cool. Jason want Bullwhip to come over there because he sees a vision in the storyline. and Bullwhip has never worked over there, I would be wrong to tell Bullwhip, if you go over there, you can't come over here no more. That's not what it should be.
I agree with that.
That's the thing that I hate.
I really respect and appreciate you saying that. There's an alternate universe where Jason Genesis was scared to leave MIW at the very beginning of my career and never joined USA, and who knows where I'd be right now.
Yeah, and so that, like, even with Leon, when Bullwhip Ballard was booked, and I'm gonna lay this to rest finally. Bullwhip Ballard was booked to go over there to work PKW. Leon got on Facebook and started random raving about me. If I never told Bullwhip he couldn't go over there. Bullwhip made a decision. If he's gonna act like this as the leader and the promoter of that show, I don't want to be a part of it. That has nothing to do with me, right? So even with me, that's why sometimes I had to tell people, look, hey, I'm working this King Superstar Johnny Dotson thing. Don't take what I do on social media as real. Don't get to know me as a person. This is just the gimmick, right? This is the gimmick. And then you have so many people, like they'll probably say, well, don't go work for Jason. Jason's a snake. Don't go work for Jason. I've never even met Jason. So I'm gonna pass down an opportunity just because somebody else that told me that don't like Jason, so I don't go. Right. No, this is wrestling. If I hate Jason's guts and he hates my guts, if a promoter said, look, I want a match between you and Jason Genesis, I'm gonna pay you $1,000. We're gonna get in there and do business. That's why it's called professional wrestling.
Right. I agree with that 100%, man. There ain't no doubt about that whatsoever. Jet Hero said, don't be lying. He told me because he would lose his spot with you.
If he told you that, that's a lie. I would tell him that's a lie because I never said that to him at all. So that's how real I am.
All right, guys. We're almost 3 hours in. We're fixing to wrap it on up. First of all, my opinion, I don't think there's too many differences. I don't think we have different agendas. I don't think the old school guys have a different agenda than the young guys. I think we all really have the same agenda. We all want to be better, and we all want professional wrestling to be better. It's just figuring out how to come together. And I want to thank both of you guys. Like I said at the start, there would have been a lot of guys who wouldn't have done this right here, laid out like this, but you two guys stepped up. And I think this is the first step around our area to changing the perception between the veterans and the young guys.
And the veterans got to quit doing this too, Hellraiser. And I'm gonna say this, and I'll let y'all continue. But we got to stop trying to manipulate these young guys, man. Try to dang a carrot in their face that's not accurate.
Right.
We got to quit trying to manipulate the guys. Let these guys work, man. Let them work.
Jason, you got anything you want to add to this before we get out of here, man?
I'm walking away with more respect for Johnny Dotson out of this. I appreciate all the things you're saying like that. I'll put the title on you. You can stay with me. Like, that kind of bullshit. Come on, man. Like, I respect all that, man. I like that. I was that guy not that long ago who was scared to go work other promotions because of that, and I'm glad I made the choices that I made to get me here.
So look, we got Quicksilver. It's the last comment we're going to take. Quicksilver, he says, we all want to see professional wrestling in this area to succeed and be good. And I mean, that's the truth. Here's the thing. The worse our wrestling is around our area, the worse it is for all you wrestlers. The better this business is around our area, the better it is for the wrestlers, the talent. My key is we need to get this talent, we need to get this territory open back up where guys are actually making some money wrestling on a regular basis. Maybe to the point where guys can make a living wrestling without having to have shoot jobs if that's what they choose to do.
Right.
All right, guys. Look, like I said, I appreciate you guys so much, man. It was my pleasure doing this. And like I said, I don't think a lot of guys would have had the guts to do what you guys did. Jason, I'm going to pull you down first, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for doing this.
And I'll beat you up down the road.
and he'll beat you up down the road, Jason. No, for real, Jason. You and your wife have a great night, man, and I appreciate you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much. I had a great time.
All right, Johnny, just me and you, dude. I appreciate you so much for coming on, man. Like I said, I knew you would do it when I asked you, but I was worried who might step up and do it, and Jason didn't flinch. The minute I hit him with a message, and he said, yeah, he said, I'll do it, man. I kind of explained to him the idea. He said, I'd love to, man. And here we are, and I think we figured out that we've all got a hell of a lot more in common than we do differences in the wrestling business.
And dude, let me thank you for putting this together, man, because this need to be said. There's so many different narratives that's been put out there, bro. So many different narratives that's not accurate. And a lot of the narratives that's been put out there has only been designed to hurt the wrestling industry, or is designed to tear down other companies and other people and try to self-elevate themselves. And that's what we got to stop doing around here, man.
I agree with that, Johnny. Johnny, dude, thank you so much, and you have a great night, my friend.
All right, bro.
All right, y'all. You seen it right there, the great debate. First one ever. We might have another one coming up. I want to thank every single one of you who tuned in, every single guy or girl who interacted with us, sent in comments or whatever. It's hard for an old dude to keep up with all that, man. I'll be honest with you. Thank you guys so much. Before we get out of here, I want to promote my upcoming podcast one more time, and then I'll let you guys go.
I need a first class ticket to the top, no limit. I don't play no gimmicks, I'ma take you to the clinic. If you want a taste, come at me and you will be replaced. They won't find a trace of you anywhere or any place.
All right, guys, you seen it right there. Some cool upcoming podcasts. Be sure to tune in. Once again, I want to thank everybody who watched tonight and tuned in, interacted with us, and I want to thank Jason Genesis and Johnny Dotson once again for coming on and doing this, guys. I will be back with you this coming Wednesday, February 26th, with Trending Trent Daniels. I'm looking forward to that show. There ain't no telling what's going to happen or what we're going to say. Guys, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all Wednesday.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.